Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, accompanied by Mark Walter, owner and chairman of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
It's a good-looking group. I see some people oftentimes, like politicians behind me, it's not so pretty. That is a very good-looking group of people. And I'm thrilled to welcome to the White House and very special people, actually, very talented people, the 2024 World Series champion, the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I want to congratulate you on a legendary season, and I watched it very closely. Some of those teams were home teams, and you did a big number. You're really amazing how it all came out and how it all ended. With us today is Dodgers owner and chairman Mark Walter. Thank you very much, Mark. Congratulations. President Stan Kasten, one of the greatest managers of the really ever to wear the Dodger blue, Dave Roberts. What a time he's had. That's great. What a job. I think he would have lasted even with George Steinbrenner, right? I love George, but he was very quick. He would, you lose 2 games and you were fired, right? Great job, Dave. Also want to recognize Secretary of Agriculture. We have some great people, Brooke Rollins, who, you know, when I came to office, they said, the eggs are gone through the roof, eggs. I said, what the hell are they talking about? I was there for 4 days and they were blaming me for eggs, and they've gone up like 6 times or something, some record number, you couldn't get them. And I gave it to Brooke, and I just saw the other day they're down 73%, right? That's pretty good. And the press doesn't mention that. Nobody talks about it, so don't, but I know. Secretary of Labor, Lori Chavez DeRimmer. Thank you, congratulations. The Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, who's a big Dodger fan, by the way. Susie, thank you. And we have also Representatives Kevin Kiley, Congressman Kevin Kiley, Young Kim, thank you, congratulations, great job. Jay Obernolte, Jay, thanks Jay. Nanette Barragan. Nanette, where's the, hi Nanette, oh look at that, huh, what nice outfit. One of my favorite people, Gus Bilirakis, Congressman. Hi, Gus. Addison McDowell, new to the Congress, but doing a great job. Thank you, Addison. A real good baseball player and a friend of mine, Roger Williams, great job. And another new congressman, but he's been there a long time in a mental sense, because he has really done a job and he knows Congress very well. He was with me for 7 years. Brian Jack. Brian, congratulations, Brian. And others, we have a couple of senators here. I just don't particularly like them, so I won't introduce. Over the course of this amazing season, the members of this team I didn't think it was that big a deal, actually. Washington. Over the course of this amazing season, the members of this team gave us some of the most incredible performances ever seen in the baseball diamond. In all of baseball history, only 6 players have ever hit 40 home runs and stolen 40 bases in a single season. And an elite group known as the 40-40 Club. It's a 40-40 club and very few people make it. But unanimous National League MVP, Shohei Ohtani. Looks like a movie star. He's got a good future, I'm telling you. He shattered all of those records last year. Think of it, all of them. And he did something even more because he became the first ever member of the 50-50 club. So 40-40 is top. Hitting 54 home runs and 59 steals, and accomplished an accomplishment unparalleled in 149 years of Major League Baseball. Think of that. That's just incredible. Even more incredibly, Shohei clinched that achievement in what some have called the greatest game ever. Was it that good of a game? That was a pretty good game, actually, right there? Is he good?
It's only getting better.
And he's getting better.
Getting better.
That's scary for a lot of people, huh? Even more incredibly, Shohei clinched the achievement. I mean, it really was, and in a time that, at an age that nobody ever thought was possible. On September 19th, 2024, he did the unthinkable by going 6 for 6. This is a pretty amazing. I didn't realize it was that good. I saw that game, 6 for 6 against the Marlins with 3 homers, 10 RBIs, and a pair of stolen bases. Other than that, it was not a great game. How many people have gone 6 for 6? Just period, right? Not very much, right?
Maybe a dozen.
Maybe a dozen. Amazing. As you know, the Dodgers were down a lot of talent on the mound last season due to injury. The resilient group used 40 different pitchers, the most ever by an eventual World Series championship team. They had to go and get them. I don't know how they got them and where they got them, but they got them because they won. I know you especially miss the heart and soul of the pitching staff, Clayton Kershaw, who is really fantastic. These are the best-looking people I've ever seen. It's incredible. But Clayton has been unbelievable, and if you look at his records and you look at the stamina, the endurance that he's had, and we're really happy to have him. I'm glad to meet him. I've watched him for a long time. He's a young guy yet, but you are a young guy, but I've watched you for a long time. So congratulations, amazing. All year, the Dodgers faced down adversity. You entered the playoffs battered and bruised, but not broken. When you ran out the healthy arms, you ran out of really healthy. They had great arms, but they ran out. It's called sports. It's called baseball in particular, and pitchers, I guess you could say, in really particular. But the starting rotation during the National League Division Series, this scrappy Dodgers bullpen shut out the Padres, saved the season, and forced Game 5. Then key players battled back from midseason injuries to help deliver the National League pennant, including superstars Mookie Betts. Oh, is he good?
Good looking.
Mookie, that guy can play, can't he? I mean, unbelievable. You really, Mookie is, I've been watching it. I don't want to say I watched him when he was on Boston, but I did. I didn't think that was a particularly good trade when they made it, and I happened to be right. And Max Muncy, I want to congratulate Max. Max. Come here, Max. His arms are very strong when I touch them. I'm used to shaking politicians and hitting their armors like Jell-O, and now it's like steel. All these guys, but Max, that's great, and also Yoshi Yamamoto. Yoshi. Wow, what great athletes. And, of course, Series MVP, Tommy Edman. That was an MVP series. It's a good feeling, right? With all these guys, you're the guy, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a lot of talent you had to beat out there for the MVP, but they all had an incredible. Tommy was 407 with 11 RBIs in 6 games. That's not bad, right? That's not bad. Great job. When it counted, too. Next came the blockbuster World Series against another iconic team known as the New York Yankees. I love the Yankees. George was a great friend of mine. He had very few friends, but he was. And if you want to sit for 9 innings with a game, watching the Yankees play with George, you were exhausted by the end of the game. It was actually hard work, but we love George, and they're doing a good job, and they're doing well this season, and you're already 9-2, and so you're doing a good job. Maybe you see the same thing over again. In Game 1 of the World Series, Freddie Freeman, on a sprained ankle. He's a great player with a broken finger and a broken rib, channeled Kirk Gibson's legendary walk-off home run in Game 1 of the 1988 World Series. That was a game that pretty much everybody remembers. He could hardly swing the bat, but he swung it one time, and it was a shot. On the first pitch Freddie saw in the bottom of the 10th, he hit an unforgettable walk-off grand slam home run, the first in World Series history. It's amazing. The Dodgers rode the momentum to win 2 of their next 3 games, placing them on the verge of baseball immortality in a dramatic Game 5, down 5 runs on the top of the 5th. That was a strange inning, I'll tell you, for those Yankee fans. But I'm not saying I was a Yankee fan, because I love these people behind me. But down 5 runs in the top of the 5th with 2 outs and the bases loaded, the Dodgers gave us one of the grittiest half-inning World Series events, showings that anybody's ever seen. Mookie started the rally by beating out a routine ground ball to first, which he's fast as hell. I don't know how the hell you can... Having that speed isn't that a great thing? I played baseball, but it was sort of slow. I wasn't fast. Driving in the phenomenal Kike Hernandez. Where's Kike? It's a hell of a group. Then Freddie drove in 2 more runs, and Teoscar Hernandez drove in another couple of runs. That's a group. Teoscar, so you're doing well this season too? A little bit. Yes, that's what I heard. That's what I heard. After a few dominant innings from Blake Trainin. Where's Blake? I heard dominant, right? That's dominant. Great job, Blake. And the team was crowned the World Series champion against a great team. The Yankees are a great team and always a great franchise. And I guess, I don't know, like 28 or something. They've won a lot, probably, maybe more than any team in history overall. And you might be catching them pretty soon if you keep going. You've got little ways to go, I guess. The scouting report at the start of the series said that the Dodgers could win by focusing on the fundamentals, and that's exactly what they did. You showed America that it's not about individual glory, it's about the team digging deep and sprinting right through first base, and you did that all the time. I watch some games. I love baseball. I don't get to watch as much as I'd like, but you always see a spirit on this team. I think a lot of that has to do with the ownership and the management, frankly. But you see a spirit on the Dodgers that you don't see with a lot of teams. A lot of teams I turn on, I say, oh, let's forget it. When I turn on the Dodgers, I like to watch the team. And now that I've gotten to meet these guys personally, I'll like it even more. I'm going to like it even more, and you're off to a great start. After seeing how successfully you've begun the season, I can tell you that you can plan on being back here. I hope you're going to be back here next year. I don't want to give you too much because we want to have a little suspense for next year, but I will tell you, we're going to go down. We're going to do something we don't do generally. We're going to run them down really fast. Have a game today? Do you have a game today or tonight? We're going to run them down to the Oval Office, and we're going to show them the fabled Oval Office, and there's nothing like it. And this wonderful owner, one of the greatest owners in sports, by the way, from everything I've heard, one of the greatest owners in sports, along with your other compatriots, right, fellas? It's a great team of owners, and that's very important. But he said they'd love it, and I think he'd like to do it himself. So we'll get out of here, and we will run. We'll sprint down, and we'll see the Oval Office, which is really something to see, you know? funny. People come from all over, the biggest people, the richest people, the most powerful people, and they come and they go into the Oval Office and they just stare. Oh, wow, that's something. They all have beautiful offices. They have offices that are the best in the world in many cases, but they love the Oval Office. So with all of that, I'd like to now introduce you to the Dodgers chairman, Mark Walter, to say a few words, and then we're going to follow that up with Clayton, who's going to say a couple of things, and that's a great representative of a great team. Thank you very much. Mark, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. We're very pleased to participate in the tradition of bringing champions to the White House. Last season was an incredible season. We won the World Series. Second time in 2020, and since 2020, and only 8 times in our seasons, our history. We played in front of almost 4 million fans, and we had many millions more on television. Our global following has soared, and not only from Shohei Ohtani, but also from Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Clayton Kershaw, and many, many more. Alongside this on-field success, we have been deeply immersed in our community. Our players and managers have supported have each had foundations and support for communities. Our trust last year has committed $100 million to help Chicago or LA Fire. And so on behalf of the organization, I want to thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, wow, this is an incredible honor for me, and to stand here today representing the Los Angeles Dodgers and this group of staff and players behind me today. The 2024 Los Angeles Dodgers season is one that will go down the history books, always holding a special place in the hearts of myself and those there with me, as well as millions of Dodger fans around the world. This organization exemplifies what it means to come together as one for a greater purpose and to represent something so much bigger than themselves. The selflessness and humility that each one of these players and staff have shown over the last year is truly an inspiration. They have constantly played hurt, switched positions, and taken the ball to put the team first. As a spectator for our championship run last year, I was in awe of this group. Their unwavering confidence, coupled with the selfless pursuit for team excellence, was an inspiration. That is why I'm so grateful to get to speak today on their behalf, as I know none of them would say this about themselves. Moving forward, I hope the 2024 Dodgers can serve as an inspiration to many like they were to me, not just in sports, but in life, remembering to put others before ourselves. It moves a team and a society forward. So thank you for allowing me to speak today, because the story of the 2024 World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers is a true joy to get to tell, and it's because of the extraordinary people that are behind me and their incredible pursuit of excellence. Thank you. And Mr. President, we have a gift for you as well.
Oh, I like that. Wow, ooh, I like that.
Oh, they're gonna... Thank you.
All right, everybody, how you doing? That was President Trump greeting the Los Angeles Dodgers, And let's go ahead. We're only 2 minutes off. Let's go ahead and begin the show.
One man is being victimized by our own government. One man whom they fear, yet whom millions love. One man who is willing to take the poison arrows of lawfare. One man whose voice has been taken away by a corrupt judge operating in a corrupt system. One man who has been ridiculed and insulted. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who refused to back down. One man who stands between us and them. One man that wants to see America protected again. One man who wants to see America prosper again. One man who understands that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. One man who understands and protects the blessing of life. One man who wants to restore American exceptionalism. One man who once again wants to make America that shining city on a hill for all to see. A place where all the people of the world glowingly set their eyes upon. America. One man who unashamedly wants to make America great again. That one man is Donald Trump.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
What's up, everybody? Good afternoon. Thought that would be a nice way to start the show. I wasn't going to be able to cover the Dodgers interaction at the White House because they weren't scheduled to do that. Actually, they were scheduled to do that at 11 o'clock this morning. But for some reason, as often happens, President Trump or the entire ceremony was delayed. So that pushed it back to a point where, it's about 11:30. Let's go ahead and cover this. It's probably going to last about an hour, which indeed it did, which got us to this show. So just a little housekeeping. What's going to be happening today is at 12:30, I've got Kevin Demerit coming on from Lear Capital, the CEO and founder of Lear Capital, which, oh my gosh, with everything that's going on right now, we have a lot to talk about. Then I'm going to jump back into my regular show after Kevin is done. And then at 2:30, huge event, President Trump meets with Bibi Netanyahu from Israel, and they're going to have a joint press conference. So, looks like we're going to be here for quite some time. Settle in, go get something to drink, do what you need to do, and make sure you're here for a while. Probably going to be here till, I'd say, sometime around 3:30ish in terms until they're done with the press conference. So I'm going to probably have to take some breaks and just figure out what we're going to be doing. I got some break music and stuff. But in any event, how you doing this weekend? How was your weekend? Mine down here in South Florida was fantastic. I got to go see the Crazies, had a protest. Next day, hung out by the pool. Hopefully I got some sun on this face. Then we went to church, and then we went to lunch, and then we went to dinner. And I had posted something earlier on X and said, went to church. Place was packed. Happy, smiling people. Went to lunch. Place was packed. Happy, smiling people. Went to dinner. Place was packed. Happy, smiling people. Nobody jumping out of windows. Nobody screaming and crying. And then I realized what the difference was is these people probably were just living their lives. They weren't watching the news. They weren't all over X and Twitter crying and whining. And oh my God, what am I going to do? The stock market's crashing. Everything's happening. My 401k, blah, 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 blah. If I didn't expose it enough for you at the protest where I asked the man, do you still have your 401k? And he said, yeah, then you haven't lost anything. If you didn't get it then, you're going to get it by the end of today's show. Breathe, relax, live your life. Everything is fine. Remember, 92% of all stocks are owned by just 8% of people. They're trying to make it seem like it's all doom and gloom, but it's working. It is indeed working. I'm going to show you some of the messaging that the Trump people put out today, and it's amazing. It's on point. It's countering all of the negativity from the left. You may not see it all. I have to sit there like a sponge and have it, it comes flying at me. And when I see the stuff on the left, it's all opinion. When I see the stuff from the Trump administration, it's based on fact. So I got a lot of fact for you. And we're going to start off by looking at a few things that President Trump himself has posted. He himself has posted this on Truth Social. And I want you to take a look at some of these things. Excuse me. The United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Don't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't be a panican. I love how he comes up with these names. A panican. That's so perfect. Which is a new party based on weak and stupid people. Be strong, courageous, and patient, and greatness will be the result. I would have even written out a different way. I would have said, be strong, be courageous, be patient. That's what Americans are. That's what Americans and how this country was built. It was on strong, courageous, and patient people who wanted to build a great nation. Where's all this panic from? I know it ain't from God. I'm pretty sure all of you would know that. I went to church this weekend. Panic ain't from God. It's from someplace else. And the biggest part of his sentence or his paragraph is where he says the United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. Which leads you to do some introspection and say to yourself, why has America been bent over for so long and it was completely okay? Why were the left so much the people against the man, against oligarchs, against millionaires and billionaires? Yet they're okay with other countries taking advantage of America. You realize these people are showing their true colors in regards to hating you. There is nothing that they are saying right now that is to benefit America. It's everything, all these other countries. Oh my gosh, we need to be careful because this country's market is declining and this country's market is declining. Well, what about you? They're not saying that. And then President Trump also put out this one. We have massive financial deficits with China, the European Union, and many others. The only way this problem can be cured is with tariffs, which are now bringing tens of billions of dollars into the USA. They are already in effect and a beautiful thing to behold. The surplus with these countries has grown during the presidency of Sleepy Joe Biden. We're going to reverse it and reverse it quickly. Someday people will realize that tariffs for the United States of America are a very beautiful thing. This sentence right here is probably one of the biggest things he's been writing. And one of the biggest things I would love you to take note of. There is no question, there's no debating that America has a huge financial problem. All you need to do is go look at the debt clock. And you see that we're $37 trillion in debt. Only way you can cure a problem is to recognize you have one. So when Trump says the only way this problem can be cured is with tariffs, and if people are bitching and whining about it, it's very simple to ask people one question. Well, what's your solution? Because oftentimes what you're going to find out is people don't recognize there's a problem. I like to use myself as an example. If you don't know you need to lose weight, if you don't feel you need to lose weight, there's no way anyone is going to tell you you need to lose weight or until you realize it and do something about it. If your clothes aren't fitting right, if you can't walk without breathing badly, if you can't enjoy things, you probably need to lose weight. If your country's $37 trillion in debt, you probably need to lose some, financial baggage. But no one on the Democrat side has a solution. No one on the Democrat side has ever had a solution. Do you know why they've never had a solution? Because they've never recognized that it's a problem. Just print some more. Just keep printing. Keep borrowing. Keep spending. So it's easy to ask a liberal. Very simple question. What's your solution to this big, huge, unsustainable problem? What do you have in mind? You're not going to get an answer. You're not going to get an answer because they won't even admit we have a problem. They don't care if America goes under. You do realize if tariffs don't work, and this is really something people in America need to grasp, if tariffs don't work, if the deep state and all the globalists fight this to the point where tariffs don't work, we are done. So I don't know how long it'll take, but we're done. Go ahead, take down Old Glory, put it in mothballs. We're done. Is that hard to grasp at this point? $37 trillion and climbing is completely unsustainable. There is no possible way that we can fix that unless we're tightening our belts big time. I mean, like, string it up and call Richard Simmons and put everybody in the country on a diet because we're toast. So if you can't address those two things, if you can't address, we have a massive problem that's unsustainable. We will not survive. You're too fat. You gotta lose weight. You're gonna keel over. If you can't recognize that, you're never gonna come up with a solution. And the Democrats have used the media to tell people everything is fine. We're all gonna be okay. Don't worry about it. Because they don't want you to think about it. Now, some of you may disagree, so I'd ask you the same question. Hey, if you don't think there's a problem, what are we going to do about this $37 trillion? And if you do think there's a problem, what are you going to do? What would be your suggestion to fix it? You just can't ignore it. You can't possibly ignore it. When they take your blood pressure and your pulse and all the other stuff, your blood, and they're like, hey, you got a problem. You got to stop smoking. You got to stop drinking. Your liver's not looking well. You just can't not do it. But again, it takes those two things working together. You got to recognize there's a problem. You got to do something about it. You're not getting along with your wife, girlfriend, boyfriend. You got to recognize there's a problem there. Otherwise, if you don't do anything about it, you ain't going to have to worry about it. Because they ain't going to be there. Democrats are so good in letting people think that there's fairies and unicorns out there. They like to let people think it'll always be okay. We're the government. Trust us. We'll just take it from these people. They got to pay their fair share. I'm telling you right now, there ain't enough fair shares in this country to overcome $37 trillion. Ain't there. You can go communist. It ain't there. It's not there. Anybody want to disagree with that? You want to disagree with it? Tell me those two things that you can recognize. It's pretty simple. You don't have to be an economist to see that. President Trump then said, countries from all over the world are now talking to us. Tough but fair parameters are being set. Spoke to the Japanese Prime Minister this morning. He is sending a top team to negotiate. They have treated the U.S. very poorly on trade. They don't take our cars, but we take millions of theirs. Likewise, agriculture and many other things that it has to change, but especially with China. You drive a Toyota, a Honda, Hyundai, any of those makes of cars, trucks in your driveway? You don't find Cadillac and Chevrolet over there. Why is that okay? That's what Trump is saying. Why are we the ones who have to bend over and take it? Why can't we sell to your country? Why don't we just make this truly fair trade? You sell, we sell. The market will tell you who's winners and who's losers. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. Then he posted, oops, wrong one. Let me just go back here. Where am I? There we go. Our prices are down. Interest rates are down. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates. I'm going to come back to that. Food prices are down. There's no inflation. Okay, let me stop there for a second. Everything in that first couple of lines there I experienced this weekend. Our oil prices are down. Gas here in South Florida, one of the most expensive areas in the country, prices were down on gas. Interest rates are down. Looking at doing some things with some property, looking at buying some deals. The interest rates are falling and continue to fall. There's no denying it. The slow-moving Fed should cut rates. That's what this is all about. That's money time. Cut those rates, drop those mortgage interest rates, boom, you're going to see things take off. Food prices are down. We used Instacart twice this weekend, went out to eat 3 times yesterday alone. Places were packed, people were eating, and I'm talking all parts of the spectrum. Young, old, black, white, place was packed. All 3 places. There is no inflation, haven't seen it myself. So I ask you to do some introspection and think to yourself, what did you do this weekend? Did you go out and see people shopping and doing things, or were they huddled in the corner of their closet, terrified of what possibly could be happening? I'll let you finish that. And he says, the long-time abused USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are also crashing, by the way, just raised its tariffs by 34% on top of its long-term ridiculously high tariffs, not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They've made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for this, and so much else that's happened to our country. Make America great again. So I remember last week when the tariffs went out, and people were like, well, why didn't he just match those tariffs? And I told you, and then subsequent to me telling you, it was actually on from Scott Dissent, where they said, we needed to give those first so we had room to continue hitting them. We needed that ability to keep going. So, in that realm, President Trump finally had enough with China. Yesterday, China issued retaliatory tariffs of 34% on top of their already record-setting tariffs. Non-monetary tariffs, illegal subsidization of companies, and massive long-term currency manipulation, despite my warning that any country that retaliates against the U.S. by issuing additional tariffs above and beyond their existing long-term tariffs abuse will be immediately met with new and substantially higher tariffs, over and above those initially set. That was the FA part of things. This is the FO part of things. Therefore, if China does not withdraw its 34% increase above their already long-term trading abuses, by tomorrow, April 8th, the United States will impose, wait for it, an additional 50% on top. You FA, you're ready to find out. We're going to put 50% more. Don't mess around. Effective April 9th. Additionally, all talks with China concerning the requested meeting with us will be terminated. we got nothing to say to you. We're coming for you. So at this point, they better do what they need to do, or pretty much we're probably going to shut down trade with China. And negotiations with other countries which also have requested meetings will begin taking place immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So what we're about to see is the ultimate game of chicken between America and China. And so you're going to also see many politicians absolutely freaking out at this point, saying the most stupid things. Sit back and watch. I want to show you this that somebody posted today, and I just thought this was funny as all can be. It said Newswire, I'm not sure who they are, iPhones made fully in the U.S. could cost $30,000 with production limited to a few million units. And I just wrote, the moment when you finally realize you're a lab rat in a massive psyop. I don't care if they charge $100,000 for an iPhone. You know why? Number one, I use Android. Number two, I don't care. I wouldn't buy it. Nobody's twisting your arm to buy an iPhone, even if it was ridiculously priced at $30,000. You know, yesterday Nike came out and said they were going to raise their prices. I'm like, so? Doesn't matter to me. You know, the stuff that caused people consternation. One, cars. Cars could be more expensive, they say. Well, how often do people buy cars? Once every 5 years? 3 years? Appliances. How often do people buy new appliances? Same thing. 1, 3 years? Most people don't have to buy new appliances. And then of course, we talk about the dreaded hit to the 401k. And that's probably why all the elderly people were at these protests, because for 15 or 20 years, they put their trust into 401k administrators at their jobs or former jobs. And they never once asked, where are you putting my money? You get this statement that says you have this much in your 401k, and it's a myth. It is ink on a page, laser ink. Oh, I've got $200,000 in my 401k. Can they show it to you? See, a lot of people found out over the last week or so, nobody can show it to you. It's just out there. You've taken money out of my check, my union check, all these different things for so long, and you told me you were administering it, and you told me you were basically a steward for it, and you would take care of where to invest it. You didn't know because you weren't your own administrator. For the most part, that's how most people run their 401k. They just get a statement from their job, and the job says, here's what the company we're using to administer your 401k. I bet you a lot of people this morning decided they were going to call up and say, A, where are you putting my money? B, can I move it myself? You see, one of the things that Kevin from Lear Capital and many people have understood is a self-administered retirement account where you control where that money goes, not some guy in an office somewhere in New York or Chicago. Someplace where you can say, you know, I'd rather have my retirement in gold. I'd rather have my retirement, my IRA, in real estate. You see, one of the things I learned, luckily, a long time ago, was if you are worried about your money, you should be the one responsible for it. Meaning you put it here or you put it there. There's nothing wrong with getting advice, but it's your decision where it goes. And that's one of the reasons why I went big in real estate, because I'm thinking to myself, do these people realize that stocks have no security? None. The stock is only as good as the company issuing the stock. And there's blue chips like IBM and things like that. They call them the blue chip stocks. But most of the companies on the stock exchange, it's all based upon their ability to continue to make money. There's nothing else. You're holding literally holding a piece of paper. This is a stock certificate. Not what I mean, I'm saying metaphorically. This is a stock certificate. Your mortgage company, your car payment company, your grocery store ain't accepting this. So I knew at that point, I'm like, one, why aren't people doing something where they can basically secure it so they understand that this isn't, oops, wrong window, that this isn't what they need, that they actually needed something that things could be secure with. Not that fluctuation. That's crazy fluctuation, isn't it? That's very, very, very fluctuating. Whereas I could go to an investor and say, hey, listen, do you have $100,000 you want to park? I can guarantee you 8-9%, and let's put it on a mortgage. And that mortgage, even if I don't pay you, you have an asset that secures that investment. Wow, that's different, Barry. No, a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of people don't realize that you can make money, get a monthly check, and still have it secured in case the other person who you're lending the money to ends up being a deadbeat. You put $100,000 in stock and they lose money, it's like, thanks, sorry it didn't work out. A lot of people found out about that in the dot-com bust. Oh yeah, a lot of people found that out because they didn't realize that there was nothing behind it. But if for example, you put your money in a mortgage, not a mortgage-backed security, an actual mortgage, and you find people who, there's things out there called, I don't want to get into it today, but things called hard money. And there are people, investors like me, who don't like going to banks, and we just pick up the phone and call an investor. I got a great deal. I found this duplex for $500,000. I need $400,000 to purchase it. I need $100,000 from 5 different people. We'll put it into a mortgage, and each of you are secured by the property. You can drive by and go, yep, I'm in that house right there. That duplex, I hold the mortgage on that property. You can take a picture of it. You can walk around it. That's talking building wealth long term. Like Will Rogers once said, they ain't making any more of it. The land, that's it. So I had a guy, before Kevin comes on, I had a guy over the weekend, let me get to this, who got mad. And basically said, isn't it embarrassing to see how badly the economy is responding to this and still trying to sell it as a positive? At some point, don't you have to ask yourself if what you're doing is worth your integrity as a person and your own self-image? And he was talking about me posting this, yep, it's working. And I said, you know what? I'm going to respond to you, but not directly, because I want to respond just in generality. My integrity is fine because I'm not the one who told you to put your money in an IRA or some sort of 401k that tanked. You should have done that with somebody else. Me personally, like I said, I went out 3 times yesterday. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We had 3 meals outside the house. Every single place was packed. So am I embarrassed about telling people it's going to be okay? No, because nowhere do I go do I see any panicants. Everywhere I went yesterday, everywhere I went, even to the gas station, packed. People at the beach, packed. All ages, all denominations, all colors, races, and creeds. The only people who are freaking out are lib nuts, who are being force-fed crap and accepting it. When this guy says to me, and I quote, it's embarrassing to see how badly the economy is responding to this, that was my first indication I was talking to somebody who didn't know what the hell they were talking about. See, if you think the economy is the stock market, you're letting people know you're a flipping idiot. Those are 2 separate things. The economy is not the stock market. So when you run into people who talk like that, understand they don't know what the hell they're talking about. None whatsoever. In fact, I doubt this person who conflated those two even owns any assets. See, I told you last week, if you're going to talk to people and want to get advice, talk to people who are actually doing it. My response to him, one of them was, what, you need a loan? Is that what you're asking me for, or you just need tissues? Because either way, neither of them are happening. I'm not crying. I'm not upset. My wife is sitting outside by the pool right now with the dogs. We don't care what's going on because you know why? We made sure we were protected. Now, that's not be facetious and saying, well, Barry, that's not fair. Some of us got taken advantage of. No, I understand that. So I'm going to go back to what I said originally. This is needed, and it will work. How do I know it will work? There was a bit of fake news that came out, I don't know, about, was it 12:30 now? There's some fake news that came out right about 11:15 or so. And that fake news was that President Trump was going to pause the tariffs for 90 days. And all of a sudden, you want to see something? Just because that news blip went out there, things shot up like 500 points immediately. Immediately. You can go check yourself. Let me see if I have time to even bring it up. If I have time to bring it up, and I can, let me show you. And you can see right when it happened. All right. Yep, I can show you. Hold on a second. Let me bring it to you. That's how you know you're being manipulated. All right. I got to move it over a little bit more. And Kevin's just logged in. All right, so this is what what happened. It was just flopping along here, and then bam, it shot up. It shot up at, there it is, right there, at about 10:15. They just had the thought that this thing was going to be paused, and it shot up. How'd that happen? There's no possible way. All the businesses out there had immediate sales. It's being manipulated. And so as soon as we get back, we're going to be talking to Kevin Demerit from Lear Capital. He's in, so I want to make sure we're ready for him. We're going to break and come right back to him.
Back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I'm going to be talking to Kevin Demerit of Lear Capital. Kevin, you there, man? I can see you.
I am.
Okay.
I can hear you.
All right, I'm just modulating your mic there. How you been, man?
Pretty good.
Just seems like it's been an ordinary couple of days, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
just another day at the office.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, things are crazy. So, got a lot of people asking, and what do you make of all this in terms of how are the tariffs affecting gold pricing and the gold market at this point?
Well, I think the gold and silver markets have held up fairly well with everything else going on. And the reason I say that is if you look back in, at 2008 when the market crashed, you saw precious metals in the gold market go from around $1,100 all the way down to around $680, $700 an ounce. And the reason for that is that it was doing its job. And when I say that, it was a lot of margin calls, Barry, that just came pouring into the gold market because that was about the only place that had the liquidity to liquidate something and then cover these margin calls. So in the past 3 days and even this morning, a lot of investors calling saying, hey, look, I have a margin call. I need to liquidate 20,000, 50,000, 100,000, whatever it is. And I think
can I stop you for a second, please? Because you may be talking. You're mentioning terms that may be over some people's heads. What exactly is a margin call for those who don't know?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so a margin call, if you're at your brokerage house and you have, let's say, $100,000 in the account, the brokerage will typically allow you to purchase $200,000 worth of stock. And the other 100,000, they're lending you the money on it. But if the market starts to fall, there's a number at which they're going to ask you to put additional money into your account. And that's a margin call. So if it was $200,000 worth of stock and it fell to $150,000, they may call you up and say, hey, look, you need to now come up with $25,000 to cover that $50,000 swing.
Okay.
So that's a margin call. And when you see these kinds of pullbacks where it's 15, 20% or more in some stocks, especially the most popular stocks, there's going to be some margin calls because people are leveraged up. So you're starting to see a lot of people cover those, which usually you just want to sell and not cover, but people don't and they want to hold on, and that's fine. But that's why I don't like leverage.
Yeah.
But at least gold's doing its job and making sure that people have the liquidity to make sure that they can cover those margin calls. Longer term, Barry, I think the tariffs, usually when you look back at history, tariffs usually tend to weaken the dollar, fuel some inflation fears. Sometimes those fears are justified and sometimes they are not, because like a lot of people are talking about right now, those costs with the tariffs could be passed along to consumers through higher prices. But over the long term, typically you see precious metals do very, very well with higher tariffs.
Why is that?
Well, you're going to get a little bit of inflation because if you raise prices even the 10%, so if you took the lowest tariffs, you might get a 3% increase in prices or a 5% increase in prices. Some part of the tariff usually is passed along. The second reason is usually there is some sort of a recession or slowdown in the economy, and people want to hedge against that volatility, so you'll start to see people come into the markets. And thirdly, tariffs just take a long time to kind of work themselves out. I mean, the good news, Trump went in, or President Trump went in with very strong tariffs against the countries that are our biggest abusers of tariffs, and they're starting to come back. Vietnam and I don't know, looked like there was 25, 30 decent-sized countries coming back trying to negotiate. So along the way, hopefully you get more and more of those people starting to negotiate. In the meantime, you get the volatility, wondering who's it going to be, what industries are going to be affected most by, those tariffs. So there's probably some uncertainty in the market over the next, if I had to guess, year and a half, as more and more countries probably come into line.
So why did China expand their reserves of gold? Are they expecting that they're going to need it to combat what Trump is doing as well?
Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, over the past 3 years, they've been purchasing record amounts of gold anyway. So even before these tariffs, they were selling U.S. dollars and moving over to, the precious metals market. One big reason was inflation. I mean, if you're only getting 3 or 4% on a treasury note that you're holding, and inflation's running at that same rate, you why hold it? Move it over, get into gold, and it was fantastic. I mean, the gold market has gone up by almost 50% since they started purchasing. But tariffs are potentially going to be inflationary, and if that's the case, why hold those treasuries that are now starting to go? The interest rate starting to come down a little bit. So you're going to see a lot of countries, in my personal opinion, continue with the record purchases in gold and liquidating dollars because they believe that the potential for inflation is at least there. So why not move over?
Is silver experiencing, do you think, the same effect, or is it mainly with gold?
As far as central banks or what you should hold?
Overall, people moving things around, and with countries and what they're going to do to hedge.
Yeah, the countries probably use more gold than silver. I mean, Russia started talking about using silver in their central bank, and if that becomes a trend, then silver's probably a home run. But silver's a little bit unique because it's also an industrial metal. So on one side, you're saying if the economy slows down, if we get a recession, that industrial side of the market pulls back. But the hedge part is going to start picking up, and silver will start to increase. So again, in 2008, and then we look all the way to 2010, the precious gold went from about $690 all the way up to $2,000. Once gold got to 2000, the silver market was trading right around $15, $17 an ounce. It was kind of hovering around there, and shot up to 49. Wow. Silver always follows gold. It's not going to ever lead gold in a hedge type of a market. If people are looking for diversification or a hedge, silver's going to follow. So to me, silver's actually an absolute win-win right now. We have silver trading at, let's call it $30 an ounce. Gold's now at $3,000 an ounce. Mm-hmm. If you look at where the gold price was back in 2010 at 2000 with silver at 49, silver would have to move all the way up to $70 an ounce to play catch up to where gold is today. So I love silver right now. It's absolutely my favorite investment, and not just because I'm in this industry, because it's really a win-win. You've got the silver market wins if the economy does well because it's an industrial metal, but on top of that, because of solar and some of the things that silver's used for, the demand for silver's outstripping production. So we have a deficit of about 200 million ounces of silver per year right now. If you get a hedge situation where everybody's scrambling to get in and looking, to move over to something else, and we already know silver can go to $49 an ounce in a recessionary type of environment. So to me, I just love the silver market. I think you can get a good 30-40% on your money without a whole lot of downside risk where silver's trading at right now.
So what are some of the signals that you look at? You're watching these markets, that's your business. What are some of the signals that you look at to see if the tariffs could be working or if they could be failing?
Well, I think the biggest one is going to be a shrinking trade deficit. So if the U.S. starts importing less and exporting more, then the trade deficit should narrow. And we've been at a disadvantage with a lot of these countries for so long that hopefully that's the first thing you're going to see. The second would be, an increase in manufacturing into the U.S. So again, if tariffs are successful and protect these U.S. industries, we should see more factories open, hiring in industrial and manufacturing sectors. That would be something to look forward to. You'd probably hear some more reshoring announcements, as companies shift supply chains back to the United States. You're starting to see some of that already. And then you're going to see some job growth where tariffs are in place because those industries are growing, and increased tax revenues from the tariffs. And Trump's been talking about that. So those 5 or 6 things are what you should see if tariffs are successful.
And as the tariffs season grows and it affects the global markets, who do you think is going to be buying gold and silver most? Governments, businesses, individuals, all the above? And the reason I'm asking because I'm just looking for indicators as to who and when would they be buying?
Well, I think you're starting to see investors come back into the market. I mean, we're busy the last week or so just getting in it in preparation for this. So I think individual investors for sure. But again, if I go back to central banks, if you eliminate all individual investors and even the largest hedge funds out there, central banks purchase more gold than everybody combined. So that's really what we look at. You put an increased demand on a fixed supply, you're going to get higher prices, and that's exactly what we've gotten here. So I think these central banks are going to continue with record purchases of gold. And the great part about that is they're not day traders. They don't buy today and sell tomorrow. They buy today, they hold for 10 or 15, 20 years at a time. So the metals that they're purchasing are going to be off the market for years to come. and that should push the metals prices much, much higher. So there was an article out today. China continues with record gold purchases. If I had to believe, Russia's doing the same thing. You got Brazil, you have India, you have a lot of different central banks that are purchasing right now, and I think that's going to continue and be the real catalyst to drive the prices much higher.
I saw today that the Federal Reserve was having an immediate emergency meeting. Obviously, they're going to be talking about interest rates. And so I was wondering, is President Trump's, are the tariffs forcing them to act right now instead of sitting back and waiting till June? And if they do come out with an emergency lowering of the rates, how does that affect gold?
Well, you lower interest rates, and typically it's good for gold because gold doesn't produce any interest, so your holding cost is less. Your opportunity cost, or holding cost, we call it, is less because I don't have to worry about getting interest on my gold. I'm concerned about the appreciation of gold or protecting my purchasing power. So lower interest rates would typically be much, much better for gold. So if that happens, and I think you're going to see not only gold, but also the markets probably react in a little bit of a favor, because if you believe a recession's coming, then that's going to help there as well.
So you and a bunch of other people have been advising that gold, unlike, like you mentioned, day traders, that gold and even silver are long-term plays. With all these new tariffs, is that still the play, or is there an opportunity for speculators to see some gain?
Yeah, look, gold is a long-term buy because it's designed really to protect wealth, right? I mean, you're not going to rent your gold out, or it's not going to produce anything. So how does gold help people? It helps people because you can't print any more of it. It's like real estate. You just can't print any more or make any more real estate. So an increase in demand or an increase in a money supply is going to push up the value of gold. And I think it surprises people to realize that since 2000, and all the governments around the world have been printing this money, gold has outperformed the Dow. The Dow was around 12,000 in the year 2000. It's 37,000 today. So what did you get? A 220% increase out of the Dow. Gold was, let's call it $300, actually lower, 275, but let's call it 300. It's 3,000 today. That's 10 times your money.
Right.
So we have 10 times and 2.2 times. It's doing its job. It's helping protect the purchasing power of your dollar that has been falling off a cliff. I mean, since 2020, our dollar's down 24%. So gold has obviously helped people out there. But gold is like planting a fruit tree, right? You don't dig it up in a week because it hasn't blossomed. You give it a little time to grow, knowing that it's going to bear fruit, over time. There could be a short-term play in the market, but if I were looking at short-term plays, I would absolutely be looking at the silver market because, you could get a $12 or $15 increase in the price of silver at $30 just to play catch up with gold at 3,000 and be nowhere near where it should be to play that whole catch-up game.
Got a question for you. Ronald here says, if we buy gold or silver from Lear, do you have a buyback program, I guess?
Yes, we actually have a very good buyback program because we do not charge you any fees if you've purchased from us when you go to sell. So anyone who purchases from us and then sells, there are no buyback fees. And so anything you purchase from us, yes, we do buy back.
Joseph says a lot of companies sell gold. Where does it all come from? And I think what he's saying there, because it's everywhere, there's no central place to get gold, is there? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say it. Let you just answer that question.
Well, you're going to get it from the mints, around the world. That's typically where you're going to get it. And then the fabricators. So whoever is pulling it out of the ground and then sending it over to Engelhard or Johnson Matthey, and they're going to make the bars and the coins and things like that. And that's where we're going to sell it. Sometimes when people ask this question, they'll also ask, well, why are you selling it if you think it's going to go higher?
Right.
The answer to that is, why does your stockbroker sell stocks? Maybe they think it's going to go higher too. But for us, it's a little easier because when people purchase, we believe that they're an extension of our own inventory. All of our customers typically do sell back to us. That's why we don't have a buyback commission. We want that gold back,
Right.
to place it potentially with somebody else if we believe it's going to go higher. And so when we sell off, we immediately replace that gold in our inventory with, like I said, coins from the mints, coins from fabricators, to replace our own inventory immediately. So we're not holding cash, we're actually holding more inventory.
And that's actual gold. That's not gold-backed paper or anything like that. This is actual gold.
That's physical gold with a guard in front of the vault. Yep.
Okay. All right. So a lot of stuff got made about Fort Knox earlier, a couple months ago, and then it kind of died out. Is the gold at Fort Knox, whether it's there or not, going to affect the pricing of gold?
Well, absolutely. If you do not have the gold at Fort Knox, it's 100% going to affect the price of gold. More than that, it's going to affect the price of the dollar, and the credibility of the U.S. government. So
Wow.
it absolutely will affect the price of gold. I mean, it'll affect the dollar, it'll affect the credibility of the government. So people will go to gold, right? If all that gold was sold off and you believe it's still there and now it's just gone and it's already in the market, then to replace it would take a lot of buying, and the price of gold would have to go to $5,000 or $6,000 an ounce to come close to replacing all of it. But let's say a third of it wasn't there, you still have a lot of problems. So yeah, if it's not there, it's a big problem.
I'll put you on the spot. Like, do you think it's there?
Well, when people say, is it there? You got Fort Knox and you have two other depositories that actually hold the gold that you say, is in Fort Knox. But a lot of central banks, they lease out their gold to mining companies. So when they lease it out, they charge them a fee, and then that gold gets replaced from the mining companies 9 months in the future or what have you. So they haven't pulled it out of the ground, but they have a price and somebody wants it, so they sell it off to them. So to do this audit, and I think one of the reasons they haven't done it, is they have to get all of that paperwork and say, look, if it really isn't here because we physically transferred it over on this leasing program, then who has that gold, and do they really have it? And so there's a lot more than just walking around with a camera at Fort Knox saying, yep, everything's here, and biting into one of the bars and say, yeah, it's real. There's a whole process you have to go through to really make sure that everything is there. It's fairly complicated, and it's going to take some time. So that's probably why we haven't heard a lot about it yet.
I'll let you answer this one. Buyback with no fees at spot, or at least your total purchase price? It would probably be at the actual price of gold, right? It's not your purchase price.
Yeah, so the purchase price has a fee in there, and we're upfront when we tell you what the fee is. It's on the bottom of your invoice, and we're one of the only companies that when you purchase gold from us, we give you 24 hours to go check the price, make sure it's what you should pay or what you want to pay. And if you don't like it, you can cancel that transaction at any time. So you have a 24-hour risk-free purchase guarantee that we have for people. But it's not at spot, and it's not at the purchase price. The spot price of gold today, I've just, you and I are on, so I don't know exactly what it is, but let's call it $3,000 an ounce. If you bought an American Eagle from me today, it might cost you 3.5% over spot. But I'm going to pay you back about 1.5 points over spot to buy it back. So it's not spot. It depends on what the metal is. Some of them are going to be spot, and most of them are going to be over spot. Even bars are a little bit over spot. So anybody who buys, we just give them the price on exactly what a buyback is, but it's not usually spot.
Now, I know you've answered this question here many a times when you've come on, but here it comes again. What's the lowest amount of money to purchase gold?
Well, you can purchase gold at any real price, because you can go online and purchase a tenth of an ounce of gold. Let's call it, $350. Sorry. So you can purchase it about $350 for a 10th ounce of gold.
Is that the one? This one?
Yes.
Okay.
So you can call us, and if you're not going to invest $5,000, it's just better for you to potentially go to our website, look at the gold, and purchase the gold there, because you're not going to have to pay the commission to talk to the salesperson. You're just going to have to pay a small fee for what we charge online, which, it's very low because it's an online purchase. So under 5,000, I recommend people go to the website and purchase there. And when you go to sell back, you can either do that on the website or just give us a phone call, and we're happy to give you the price and purchase it back.
I'm looking to see if there's any more right here. I guess that's about it. Let me just, because some people keep asking questions. Somebody says I have a lot of raw gold. What is that, and how would you value that? What is raw gold? Isn't all gold raw gold?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't exactly know what that is. Sometimes they're shot gold. They look like little BBs, and there's just a bag of that type of gold. You could have gold nuggets. You need to get most of that assayed. We do purchase it, but we need to see it first to give anybody a price. But if you have raw gold, you want to turn it into something that's liquid, like an American Eagle or anything that's tradable, because going through your process of taking that raw gold and turning it into cash becomes a little bit more difficult than it might take you a week or two to get that done.
Here's his follow-up comment. He goes, I have been collecting for 40 years. Where do I send it to get bars made? That's interesting.
You can either send it to us and we'll transfer it into bars. Basically, what you have to do is take that raw gold, you're melting it down, you're turning it into whatever size bar. We drill it and we tell you, here's the purity of that gold, and here's approximately how much that would be worth, and then we could send you back that bar. Or you want a tradable bar, then we would melt it down, do all of that, give you a price on it, and then you can purchase gold that is tradable, which is probably an easier situation, because even if you take that bar back, somebody else is going to drill it again and go through that whole procedure.
One last question. Is it better to buy gold eagles or bars for future value?
Okay, so the answer to the question is a volume question. So a 1 ounce bar and a 1 ounce American Eagle make absolutely no difference. But when you're talking a 100 ounce bar of gold, just to give you a volume difference, that 100 ounce bar is just one bar. You didn't have to stamp each one of the coins, so it costs less if you're buying a 10 ounce bar or a 20 ounce bar, a 50 ounce bar, things like that, or a kilo bar. They're less expensive per ounce than an American Eagle, because the larger you go, the less work they had to do to make the bar.
All right.
Other than that, no difference.
Kevin, what's PAMP? P-A-M-P? Because some of the
PAMP
stuff
is PAMP is a distributor, and they have PAMP bars, coins. It's just a independent distributor or wholesaler of precious metals. So we work with PAMP a lot, have a lot of their coins, and they have small bars. They even have a credit card sized bar where you can snap off little pieces of it. So they're just a distributor that's independent from like a government, like an American Eagle or a Maple Leaf from Canada.
He said, why is the PAMP a higher price than, I guess, regular gold?
It depends on which one you're purchasing. So if you're purchasing a 10 ounce PAMP bar, they're probably not going to be more. But if you're purchasing smaller denomination PAMP bars, which are very popular, like I said, the smaller you go, the more money you're going to pay. So if you buy a 1 ounce American Eagle, that 1 ounce American Eagle is going to cost you 3% over spot.
Okay.
You're going to get 1.5 when you sell back. If you buy a 10th ounce, then you're going to pay, $350 over, or let's call it 10% over the spot price or more, and you're going to get 7% back when you go to sell it back. Because they had to stamp 10 things to get to an ounce, it just costs more money for the mints, fabrication costs, they call it.
So my last question for you before I let you go is, where do you see this going short term and, like, say, six months from now?
Well, 6 months from now, I kind of agree with Goldman Sachs. I think you're going to see gold in the $3,400, $3,500 range, if not slightly higher. The silver price is really where I think most of the profit is going to be, and it's a great hedge at today's price. I would be shocked if we don't see the silver price at, let's say, $39 or $40 an ounce in the next 6 months.
Wow.
Short term, who knows? Because if they come out and say, hey, look, tariffs are off for a little while, we're getting some these countries calling and wanting to negotiate, so we're going to pull back on this and see where we can go, then all of a sudden everything's going to skyrocket again, like you saw today for that brief period. But longer term, I think the silver market. So for retirement accounts or just plain old, purchasing, we have a great win-win silver report that I think is just fantastic, kind of showing people, hey, if there's no recession, here's where the price of silver would probably go, and if there is a recession, here's where it should go, and then how to protect your IRA, or if you want to take physical delivery, kind of how to do that with the silver report. But silver to me is absolutely kind of this double play investment in the market right now.
Oh, fantastic. All right, Kevin, thank you for your time. I'm going to direct some people over to Lear because I've got some questions on here. People are like, where do I go? Where do I go? So I'm about to show everybody how you go and talk to the people at Lear, or at least get to the website so you can see for yourself what Lear can do for you. We're in a volatile time right now, so I'm glad to see you're pretty calm right there, Kevin.
Yeah, no, it's all diversification, right? I mean, if one thing's going down, the other thing's coming back. But look, Barry, we always do something kind of special for your listeners. So anybody who does call, just mention that they heard it on your program, and then we automatically are going to put $500 credit in their account that they can use for shipping, all of their IRA fees, all those kinds of good things. So yep, we're gonna do that. The metals market's been skyrocketing, been fantastic. We love sponsoring your program, so we wanted to do something special.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I'll just tell you, I've learned so much since we've been talking together because, like I said, I was a straight real estate guy, and just talking to you and the different people at your company that I email and go back and forth has really allowed me to learn. And I'm going to be opening an account, as I've said on here a couple of times, for my grandkids as well. Hey, let me ask you that while I got you here. If I wanted to open up, they're minors. Do Ashley and my daughter? Is she the custodian? Did it have to be in her name, or can they actually own gold?
Yeah, they can own gold. Yeah, we have people do it all the time. They just put it right in. We make a sub account. We put it right into their name, and it's theirs.
Perfect. See, guys, I'm not just like he's not just sponsored. I'm working on it for our family as well. So I want to get the 3 grandkids I should say 4, Ashley too. She needs one. So we'll get everybody in the family set up and get them used, because people don't teach this. I say this to people all the time. This isn't something, unless you're talking to people who actually do it, they don't teach it in school. And so kids don't even begin to learn how to invest until they're probably married or late in college. And I just think it's crazy that my young, okay, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. The grandson is just turned 16. And then there's the other one's 12, and I think the other one's 9. Ashley, don't scream at me. And I want to say by the time they're 21, the younger ones have time to grow into something. And so, if you get an A on your report card, guess what? You're going to get an ounce of gold or something, and just keep building up from there. And it's not going anywhere. Like you said, they're not making any more of it.
Hey, Barry, we had a customer just recently, and he put $10,000 in 2000. His granddaughter put $10,000 into the account. And now she's about ready to go to college. I think it's next year, if I remember right. And that $10,000 now is over $100,000. Wow. So he bought it at $275, and here we are at $3,000 an ounce. So did a fantastic job just for college. I mean, things like that is just fantastic. And he took one and gave it to her, and he said, look, I just want you to hold that. And we met this customer, he's local, and the granddaughter was like, I'll just remember Grandpa just, from this coin, it's great. So, kind of fun, giving him a stock is one thing, but you can just look at it, but you can actually hold this and have a great memory with it too.
That's exactly it. So, Kevin, I'm telling you, that's coming. I'm gonna call over and get that set up. I'm gonna talk to Ashley and get everything set and how she wants to do it. But we're definitely going to be customers in that regard.
Great.
All right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Thank you, my friend. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, everybody. And I'm not kidding. I had already talked to Ashley about opening accounts. I didn't know they could have their own account because they were minors, but the fact that they can indeed have their own account, you can see there's a smile on my face. And I advise you the same thing. Whether you don't have to buy an ounce of gold, you can buy the tenth of an ounce. I mean, these things here are like $3.50 for a tenth, and then an ounce of gold is basically right here. That's $30 or so that it's worth right now. So over the next 10 years, while the grand girls are growing up, they'll have a little nest egg, and then you get an A on your thing. Your mom says you did well at home. Boom, just keep putting it there, and they can actually see it fluctuate in their account. Give it a try. I mean, too many kids are not taught how to become, stewards of money. Less are even taught how to generate wealth. And I don't think that's a bad thing, that we should teach our young kids how to do that, especially they're seeing all the craziness go on right now. I want to make sure that they're taken care of. And I understand some of you like, hey, seems boring. It's not the juicy stuff. Money's never boring to me. I'm just going to tell you that right now. If understanding how to hedge and watch out for volatility is boring, then either you're gangster level rich, or you might need to talk to people like Kevin and his staff. So in any event, I'll be right back and we'll get into the regular part of the show. As you know, President Trump has assembled the Avengers to make America great again. And of course, we're all excited and ready to see them get to work. But with everything we're seeing right now, don't take your eye off the ball. Things could get much worse before they get better. With the possibility of World War III still looming, and with the Democrats doing everything they can to impede Trump, you still need to keep your guard up and your money protected. Oh, and our national debt is still massively increasing. Don't get me wrong, I have high hopes for Trump's America, but I also have a family to look out for. You see, Trump and the Avengers have quite the uphill battle ahead. That's why I'm making sure I'm protected, and I'm recommending that you do the same. One way to be protected is by diversifying your portfolio. That's why on this channel I've been happy to partner with Lear Capital. As you know, I've been involved in real estate for quite some time, and although I dabbled in gold and silver, Kevin and his staff at Lear have helped to educate me even further, especially in regards to silver. Give Lear a call today and they'll show you how easy it is to move some of your savings or your retirement account into gold and silver. Gold and silver have been proven to hold value and protect wealth for the long term. Call Lear today at 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com to get your free gold and silver wealth protection guides. There's no obligation, just free information. Many of you have seen my interviews with Lear founder Kevin Demerit, and I can tell you this company is solid and likes to educate their customers. Just so you know, Lear has over 27 years of experience, thousands of 5-star reviews, and over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and is the only company with a 24-hour risk-free purchase. You don't pay unless you're 100% satisfied. So call 800-601-5430 or go to learberry.com. And when you call, don't forget to ask how you can get up to $15,000 in bonus gold or silver with a qualifying purchase. So if you'd like to take advantage of this opportunity, please call my friends at Lear Capital at 800-601-5430 and tell them Barry sent you. All right, I get this comment quite often, and it says from Angela, I just called Lear and you have to have $5,000 to be able to purchase from them. You're misunderstanding. So let me just tell you that those of you who want to call, you may have a minimum investment. However, if you go to the website, you don't have to pay $5,000 as a minimum investment. So I just want to make sure that's clear. So if you'd like to buy something in a $500 increment, do it on the website. And if you have a problem doing it on the website and you need someone to talk you through it, send me an email and I'll help you, or have one of Kevin's people, actually maybe I should do a tutorial on the website. But call and you're going to have to whatever their minimum. I don't think it's 5. It might be 3. But in any event, if you go through their website, which is learberry.com, you don't have to pay that 5,000 minimum. You have to call to get that $500. I will check. And Ashley, if you could email, because I'm going to be doing the rest of the show. If you could email Patty and ask her, do they have to call or can they do it on the web? I'd greatly appreciate that, and I'll find out. Yeah. Angela, Kevin also said you can buy off their internet site, which is less than 5,000. Exactly. What is the website address? The website address is learberry.com. I called and didn't have a 500, didn't have a 1,500 minimum. That's because you're calling. So I'm trying to give you guys the information. If you don't have the 1,500 minimum, go to the website. You go to the website, you can actually get yourself some. I mean, this is. You don't have to have a salesperson to buy $30 worth of silver. So this is probably your easiest hedge at this point. This is an ounce of silver, and it's $30. Actually, right about now, it might be 31, might be 29, but that's an ounce of silver right there. Let's see. Let me see what else is here. He just said 350 is the smallest amount as you can do it online. Yep, absolutely. All right. Yes, Barry, please do a tutorial for us. Yes, I'll do that, and I'll put it in the X group, and we'll do it. Somebody says, buy stock today. It's called buying the dip, buy low and sell when it rebounds. Shh. Don't do that. You're like, what do you mean? Buy the dip, hold the rebound. Buy the dip, hold the rebound. Let that grow. Let that grow, that asset. Let's say you buy it for 100 and it goes to 150. You don't have to sell it and take the tax. I mean, have to pay the real capital gains tax, depending on how much you have in it. Why pull it out? If things start growing, that's where some people actually end up kicking themselves. There are people out there who are complaining about Bitcoin dropping right now, and yet there's people who bought Bitcoin for like $50 who are smiling. See, let it sit, hold, be an investor, not a speculator. If you can hold, let it sit there, let it grow like a plant. It was so funny. I was outside this morning with the dog. You probably can't see this, but I've told you guys many times on here, if you're in Florida, you're gonna eat. And I don't know if this will show up, but that's oh, you can kind of see it. That's the mango tree out back, and the mangoes on this tree are starting to grow, and they're like a fist. Well, maybe not my fist, but maybe like fist size right now. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, right about June or July, those things are going to be absolutely huge. And as soon as they start growing and growing and growing, we have fresh Florida mangoes just right there for the taking. It's amazing. I don't have to worry about Mexico. And right next to the mango tree is a big avocado tree. And we're waiting for that one to start sprout. So, in any event, don't let people drive you crazy. Understand, talking about money isn't a bad thing. Talking about building wealth is not a bad thing. I'm not in love with money. That's the sin, the love of money. Money itself is something we all should have been taught in high school. Instead of learning about Christopher Columbus, I would love to know, hey, listen, if you buy gold, you can compound some interest and do. I would have loved to have been taught that. I would have loved to have been taught when I was in high school, hey, buy a duplex or a quad or eightplex and understand that kind of stuff can give you income. In addition, if you buy a duplex and you do a house hack and you live on the other side, guess what? They're paying your mortgage. You're living for free. Can you imagine? I'm going to get into the show part here. Can you imagine if you were 19 or 20 and you're in college, or not in college, at home, and you said, you know what? I'd like to buy a property. And you bought a duplex or a triplex. And you're sitting in there and you're charging the person next door $1,500 a month, and this one next door $15. You're bringing in $3,000 a month. You're sitting there not having to pay a dime of rent, and they're paying your mortgage. And then when you're ready to sell, if you sell 20 years later, 15 years later, you've gotten the realization of all the monthly dividend per se, all the rent you've collected, and then you've got your appreciation. Or you want a real good hint? You want to know like what the wealthy do and why they never pay taxes? I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this, and that's it. You buy a duplex, you buy a triplex. Say right now down here, you can buy a triplex for $500,000, maybe, depending on the area. Triplex is 3 units. And you rent out those 3 units. Down here, you go $1,500, $1,500, $1,500. That triplex is going to bring in $4,500 a month in rent. Okay, 45. Let's make it 4, just for math. It's $1,250, whatever. It comes up to $4,000 a month. $4,000 a month is $48,000 a month in income. So let's say you're on a $500,000 property that your mortgage is $3,000. So you're making $1,000 a month just in net profit. Not bad. Just it's a side gig. Okay, that's working. Now let's happen. I don't know. Maybe 2 years from now, that duplex is worth $600. You bought it for $5. It's worth $6. You have $100,000 in equity. The novice person goes, let me sell this, and I'll make $100,000, which the government's going to say, hey, you did well, pay me. But now you didn't make $100,000 because the government's taking 25 or 30%, and you're like, damn. Or you could say that property's worth $600,000 now, that $100,000 equity, and depending on your credit, you go to the bank and say, hey, listen, can you lend me $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on this property? Bank's like, yeah, you're getting in $4,000 a month rent, blah, blah, blah. Here's $60,000 or $70,000 loan. That $60,000 or $70,000 loan might cost you, I don't know, $350 a month, which your tenants are already paying. And guess what? With that $60,000 that the bank gave you, that's sitting in your hands, it's cash, it's 100% tax-free. Buy low, hold, loan, tenants pay, you get paid, and you get to keep 100% of that money. That $60,000 that you got from the refi is tax-free. And then just imagine doing that times 2 properties, or 3 properties, or 4 properties. And you're pulling in, depending on the appreciation, anywhere between $40,000 and $60,000 per property per year. Because you just back another year, just refinance it again. Tax-free. Imagine making $150,000 a year tax-free, and somebody else is paying the payments on it. I'm going to give you that one for free. I'm going to give you that one for free because if you learn how to do that, which they don't teach you in school, they don't teach you any of that in school. And you're like, Barry, damn, what the hell did you just say? I just taught you how to make money in real estate. Just one way. And nobody's talking about it. See, too many people think that they're stuck at their jobs. And even if you love your job, they don't teach you unless you seek it out. There's no class in high school. There's not many in college. They'll say, hey, show me how to make profit in real estate. Or even better, show me how to make a tax-free profit in real estate. Professors don't even know. Otherwise, they'd be doing it. I'll tell you who do know, who does know, pastors. Pastors know how to do it. Most pastors out there own 4 or 5 houses in the hood. Funny how they learned how to do real estate real quick. Now that I got a problem with. But in any event, they don't teach it to kids. So I'm going to make sure I show my grandkids how to do property. Oh, and if you need some quick cash, I'll show you how to flip a property. I want my grandkids, and this is selfish. I want them to learn the value of a dollar. That's why the grandson is working right now. Ashley has him working. And as he's learning the value of a dollar, I want it to be in a situation where he never has to work a job. Go to college, do what you need to do. I'll show you, if you're interested, I'll show you what classes to take, and I'll have you go to some investment classes on the side, if it's okay with Ashley. And then when you get that little froth where you're like, this is good. I just made 10 grand doing this, and this. Yeah, now imagine where you're going to be 10 years from now. Not over here. Not over here. Maybe unless you make the NBA. But other than that, I don't want you to ever have to work. Is that a bad thing? Is that a bad thing, saying I don't want my grandkids not to ever have to work? Nope. Don't want them. They may choose to. I didn't say they couldn't. I said I want to make sure that my grandkids never have to work. That's the difference. I'm not going to tell anybody you can't do this or can't do that. If one of the granddaughters wants to be a nurse, go ahead, do it. That's your choice. See, too many people have to work. They didn't have that choice. They didn't say, you know what, Gramps, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to see if I can be a nurse or an architect, but I'd love to make this my primary source of funds. Let's do it. I love that, Barry. Yeah, that's good. Don't have to work. Somebody mentions 1031 exchange. Yeah, 1031 exchange roll into apartment buildings. Also sell primary live to the last 5 years. So many ways. And it's funny because Boof just wrote this, and I bet you there's a whole bunch of people who are looking at this going, I don't even know what the hell he just said. Many of you probably do, but how many of you know what a 1031 exchange rollover even is? You didn't hear it in high school. You probably didn't hear it in college, and you just saw someone in the chat right now just mention a 1031 exchange with a rollover. Very clinical. This guy's done it. If you don't know what a 1031 exchange is with a rollover, maybe you might want to ask him, hey man, what is that? I never even heard that. Well, 1031 exchange, well, I'll let him tell you. I'm going to get on with the rest of the show so you guys aren't here all day. But there are so many different ways. And now, I didn't even mention it. He's like, hey, I do a 1031 rollover. Okay, boom, you're done. Tax-free. See, the tax code is meant for people who don't know how to use it. I'm going to just tell you that. And that's why I've always said on this show, Democrats and Republicans are the same. Nancy Pelosi is doing what Trump does. Hillary Clinton is doing what Trump does. The tax code is for you who don't know. That's the problem everybody in America doesn't seem to understand. Everyone who's got money and has been able to exchange it and make more is using financial strategies that Republicans and conservatives have been promoting for years. Why? Because they don't want to pay their money to the government. I'm going to leave you, before we jump into this next segment, I'm going to leave you with something. Evading taxes is illegal. This is really important. Evading taxes is illegal. Avoiding taxes is encouraged. You put that on a t-shirt. Evading taxes is illegal. Avoiding taxes is encouraged. Why is avoiding taxes encouraged? Because you're going to put more money into the economy. If you're not paying, imagine if you had no taxes to pay, what would you do with that money? Well, people would be like, well, I'd go on a trip. I'd probably maybe buy a car. Maybe I'd do an addition on my house. So in other words, you're putting the money back into the economy. You see, if you're paying taxes, it's not going into the economy, it's going to the government. So the tax law is written to help people put more money in their pocket and more money into the economy if they know how to use it. Yeah, that's how it works. And nobody's teaching it. All right, so with that, I'm sure I got a lot of questions from it. People are like, this guy crazy. No, I'm not crazy. There's going to be people in the chat. I don't have to look. They're like, yep, that's right. If you don't know the tax code, you are falling victim to it. Let me just make sure you understand that. The tax code's got a lot of stuff that you're like, oh, I didn't know I could do that. Yeah. Did you know? Last last tip. Did you know you could give away money to relatives, daughters, sons, grandkids, and they can have it tax-free? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna go with the show so you guys can, we're talking about what's going on right now, the tariffs. And let's begin.
We all say, make America great again. But let's just go over for a minute what that means, because we all say it as a slogan. When was America great? At the turn of the century, our economy was rocking. This is 1900, 125 years ago. We had no income tax. And all we had was tariffs. All we had was tariffs. And we had so much money that we had the greatest businessmen of America get together to try to figure out how to spend it. That's who we were then. But then we had World War I and we had World War II. And we felt we had a duty to rebuild the rest of the world. So here's what we did. We took down our protection. We took down our tariffs. And we turned instead and we taxed Americans so that we could export the power of our economy and save the rest of the world, which we did. Now let me ask you a question. What decade should that have ended? Should it have ended in the 80s? The 90s? 2000? What in the world are we doing? We're letting the rest of the world eat our lunch. And it is time to make America great again.
You see, when I look at the news or I look at Twitter, X, and I see all these people freaking out, and I see the fakesters out there going, I didn't vote for this, pretending like they're Trump people. I didn't know this was going to happen. Well, I'm pretty sure that was from the New York rally. And it was said often before that. Hey man, do you know tariffs used to pay for everything? Why don't we look at going back to tariffs and doing away with income tax? And everybody's at the rallies cheering. We knew that was on the table. None of us should have been caught by surprise that this was going to happen. If you were caught by surprise as to all of this information with the tariffs, you weren't paying attention. He told you where they were going to go. The problem America is having is they're so used to politicians lying to them, they can't believe, he really gonna do it? Yeah, he's doing it. He's doing exactly what he told you he was going to do. Every single one of you, even the guy that was asking me, are you going to sell your integrity? Nope, I voted for this. I voted for this. I knew this is what he wanted to do. I knew that Howard Lutnick felt very strong about this, and I knew when he made him the Commerce Secretary, oh boy, I know what's coming. I knew full well. Watch out for stocks right now. See, there's a reason why Lear Capital is one of the sponsors of this show. And there's a reason why you haven't seen me push anything else except like Lear Capital and other things that, can help you profit. And I talk about real estate so often. I knew my president is a real estate developer. And I'm sitting back and I've talked to Rob Maloff and I'm like, do these people not see what this dude's all about? You think it's just a red hat that I'm wearing and I haven't done my research? You don't think that those red hats back there meant something to me personally? which I'm sure meant to you, but did you dig in and see what this guy was all about, how he made his money? Did you understand what President Trump wanted to do? Did you pay attention at the rallies, or did you just wave the flag and put on the red hat and go, yeah, that was fun. I can't wait till this guy gets in. Oh, yeah, but were you prepared for it? You see, if you were prepared for it, A, you would have looked to diversify and had some money in gold. B, if you didn't have the money to invest, you would have at least made sure that your money wasn't hung up in a 401k that was backed by paper. I've talked to Kevin Demerit from Lear quite a bit, had him on the show hey Kevin, can people move their IRA into gold? Those of you who watch the show remember, oh crap, Barry said that a whole bunch. Can I move my IRA into gold? Can I move my 401k into gold? Yes. That's probably the 4th interview we've had with Kevin Demerit. And I had people before go, this sounds boring. And I'm like, it's because you're not listening. I don't do this just to fill time. I'm trying to build breadcrumbs so you guys can see, hey, should I have done this? Yup. You should have called and said, I need to make sure that when Trump does what he says he's going to do, and he's making no bones about it, that I need to make sure that I've got something in my 401k or my IRA so that the shit doesn't hit the fan, it goes boof. It just doesn't deflate. And I told you. I'm not patting myself on the back by saying this, but I don't know what else I can do. When I come out here, I'm like, hey man, it's coming. Well, guess what else is coming? He just said today, he's ready to smack China upside the head. So what do you think is going to happen if it gets to the point, obviously we haven't checked the news today, but what do you think is going to happen if he does do that to China tomorrow? I can tell you, we're waiting to see what the Fed does with interest rates. You got any mortgage-backed securities? You do anything with mortgages? Pay attention. Don't just sit back and be a fly on the wall. He told you all along what he's going to do. Made no bones about it. Got shot for even thinking about it. And now it's happening. Remember the other speech? I am going to obliterate the deep state. Well, USAID and Elon cutting this and cutting that, and the judge is fighting. He's doing it. You're seeing the world fight back. You're seeing the world go, oh crap, I didn't know this guy was really serious. That's because you didn't listen to him. You know, because if you had listened to him, you would have heard this.
Unless they pay a big price, and the big price is tariffs. And he'd speak like that, but he was right. And then around in the early 1900s, they switched over stupidly to, frankly, an income tax. And you know why? Because countries were putting a lot of pressure on America. We don't want to pay tariffs. Please don't. You know, believe me, they control our politicians. If you look at the kind of numbers that these guys make then and now, but we had a commission meeting in the, I think it was 1887. Think of this problem. We were so rich, we had so much money, we didn't know what to do. So they set up a blue ribbon commission on tariffs, and the sole purpose is what to do with all the money we had. We were so rich because we were taxing other people for coming in and taking our jobs. And China does it. That's what China did. If you want to open a factory and sell cars, if you build a factory here or have a factory, they don't take our cars. They wouldn't take our cars.
That was even before what Howard Lutnick said. He was telling you, he was telegraphing. These people are ripping us off. And here it is, April 7th, and he starts doing his stuff 90 days or so after being inaugurated, and people are like, oh my God, I can't believe he's serious. He's really doing this? Yeah, he's really doing it. Don't understate or believe what this man is going to do. He told you we're going to drill, baby, drill. And they're starting to do that in the Gulf of America. Do you know what's happening with the oil market? Well, the oil market, let me just check, just went below $60 a barrel for the first time since 2021. What do you think oil being below 60 bucks a barrel does? It drops the price of gas. And what does the price of gas dropping have to do with groceries? Because now people can bring goods to the supermarket. It doesn't cost a whole bunch of money in diesel to drive food around and put it on the shelves. You know the electricity? Oh, it's all interrelated. The Democrats inflated this stuff on purpose, and I cannot believe I go to a protest over the weekend, and these people have no flipping clue what they're talking about. The entirety of their lives are about to change, and they get the benefit as well. They can sit there and complain about Trump and Elon as they're paying less gas. Just say flipping thank you. You're going to go eat something, even if it's some alfalfa, and it's cheaper. But you want to go out there and protest. What the hell are you protesting? Oh, he's taking our rights away. Let me just tell you, none of us really care what you do in the privacy of your own home. Why don't you just keep it there? I don't need to know. You don't need to know what I do. People don't need to know what Fred does. Why do you guys need to do it out in the street? That's the only problem we have. We don't care what you do in your bedroom. We don't need to know. I don't care. Just don't involve any kids. Other than that, have at it. You want to dress up like a dog and bark? Do it. But your protest doesn't make any sense. The country is going to prosper. It's already beginning to prosper. Oil's down. Mortgage rates are about to come down. That means other stuff's going to go up. The stuff in your bank account. So people, please shut up. It just drives me nuts.
That's what we've been pointing out this morning, and the president has been pointing it out. Rates are plummeting. Oil prices are plummeting. Deregulation is happening. You know, we've got all of these things happening. President Trump is not going to bend. He told me, a number of times that he's trying to build the economy and make it independent as opposed to relying on China for things like prescription drugs. I think President Trump is a deal maker. He threw out the most significant, worse than expected tariffs on what he called Liberation Day. And that's probably the high watermark. From here, he uses that as a negotiating lever. And you've got all of these countries that are talking about the potential for deal making. Israel spoke about it, the UK, Vietnam, Argentina. We are going to see some of these countries take their tariffs down. And that's what President Trump wanted. He also wanted corporate America to say, we've got to move our supply chains back to America. That will create jobs and make the United States less dependent on China, which of course is an adversary. So what is it?
It's very simple. You can put it in the most simplistic of terms. The prettiest girl in high school probably got a whole bunch of people wanting to take her to the prom. And at that point, she could say, I'm going to go with Billy, I'm going to go with Johnny, I'm going to go with Barry. She's going to pick who she wants because she is in such demand. She's the homecoming queen. She's what all the boys in school wanted to be with. That's us. That's America. We are the homecoming queen. Every single other country in the world wishes, desires, dreams about having the American consumer. None of this globalist stuff matters is because all they were dependent upon is American dollars, the American consumer. Our homecoming queen status made us so desired by so many people, and what our government did is they took that beautiful, virginal homecoming queen and pimped her out to the nation. That's what people need to be pissed off at, not what President Trump is doing. Not President Trump is taking that homecoming queen and trying to make her feel better and give her some counseling and saying they shouldn't have treated you like this. You are beautiful. You're an American consumer. And all they did is to take her and pimp her out. Hey, you want some China? Bend her over here, this country and that country. We are the most desired consumer on the planet. I'm a far cry from looking like a homecoming queen, but hope you get the point. And I hope the analogy didn't like make you kind of turn. But that's exactly what we are. We were the country everybody looked at. Still, everybody looks at. And everybody says, we want to be with them. And our own government turned out this country. Turned this country into some meth-smoking, dog-walking mask and made it vile. And continue to make it vile when it's beautiful. You ever see those, like, things when a dog is caught walking around and it's all mangy and stuff, and they take it to the vet and they start shaving it and it's got fleas and ticks and everything, and they try to fix it and make it look better, and then all of a sudden they show you a picture like a month later and the dog's been eating and he's playing with kids and he's just smiling and happy. That's what President Trump is doing. It is an extreme makeover. And unfortunately, too many people are fighting it for no reason. Why are you fighting this? Do you realize if you like to wear dog masks and crawl around, you might be able to afford 3 or 4 dog masks. You might even be able to get a brand new leash. Not from China. And you could be like the belle of the ball as you walk through your depraved little dance there, and you can look at the other dog and their owner and go woof woof because you look good, you're prancing. I know that's sick. But it's for all of us. Not just because of MAGA. We're not the only ones who are going to prosper. It's for all Americans. Every single American. American. Not the newcomers. Americans. And you're going to benefit. But I don't think they understand that. They've been so gaslit at this point, they just don't get it. You need to get it and let them know.
Okay, you take any given country, they're like fingerprints. They all cheat us in a different way. So here are the things they cheat us on. Some of them engage in currency manipulation. Some of them have a hefty VAT tax. All of them dump into our markets. All of them engage in heavy export subsidies and government subsidies. All of them put up these phony technical and phytosanitary barriers to our ag products and our autos and everything in between. Many of them steal our intellectual property. A lot of them run sweatshop labor, including forced child labor. They have...
That's what gets to me. When you buy that item that you think is cheap, yeah, I bought that. I only paid like $4 on Temu. It wasn't cheap. You're deluding yourself. It wasn't cheap. Some 13-year-old in a factory across the water is chained to a desk, having to do this all day long, maybe not even fed, so you can have something cheap. But you don't think of that. You don't think to yourself, wow, I'd rather an American make this where I can see them and understand that they're allowed to profit than some 12-year-old in making Nikes.
Havens. So when you say to me, what do we want from them? We want fairness. We don't want them to kill American workers by inundate us with this non-tariff cheating. And it would be really refreshing to have the media talk more about that. This zero tariff thing, it's a misdirection. No, it's a misdirection. It's the non-tariff barriers.
That's Congress. Now, nobody had said that until Peter Navarro said it. We don't even want your zero tariff. That's not the end game. Zero, that's a good start. We're going to make sure you're not cheating somewhere else. So when you come to the table, understand, just like any good lawyer, you don't ask the question without already knowing the answer in advance. That's like law school 101. Don't ask the question unless you already know the answer. So if you know the answer is, oh, they're going to come in and say zero. Okay, but I also know this is what you're doing in the back door. I know all this stuff. That's what Trump and Peter Navarro are telling them. I know your secrets. We know the scummy things that you do, and we're not going to take it. And the guys on TV and the radio That would be the next question if I was talking to him. Hey, Mr. Navarro, you just said that they're doing stuff beyond to cheat. Can you explain some of the other things that they're doing that cheat the Americans? Can you tell me what they've been doing to the homecoming queen? The Democrats aren't going to tell you. The Democrats are going to keep pimping her out. They don't care. And the reason I'm using homecoming queen, because every single one of you went to high school. And every single one of you remember who that homecoming queen is. I don't care if you went to high school in 1970. And you know who she is. And you can imagine China and Pakistan and all these countries, what they would have done. Especially some of the you-know-what countries. And why did our government allow it? That's the thing I don't understand. Why are you having to pay 300% more for something? Listen to Barrasso here. He's talking about beef.
Given the president more and more authority on tariffs, specifically national security, for unfair trade practices. President Trump is fully within his authority. And I appreciate what the president is doing on tariffs, specifically in our home state of Wyoming. In terms of beef, the cattle producers, they're saying it is about time. Yeah. One of the countries that you just showed on that slip before I came in, Australia. Australia has sold $29 billion worth of beef in the United States, and we haven't been able to sell one hamburger.
Did you know that? Did you know that Australia has sold $29 billion, I don't know if that was annually, of beef to America, but our beef producers couldn't produce not even a single hamburger over there? Why? Why is that? And then, of course, then you see that the Australian government say, well, our economy is collapsing because of these tariffs. Okay, you should have thought about that. You should have thought about everything you were doing to the Americans before, Trump got in and said, no more. 29 billion of your product gets sold here, but we can't sell not even one thing over there? Who agreed to that? And why would they have agreed to that? Somebody asked in the chat, is Trump on? No, he's not. He's not due to come on until 2:30, so we'll go ahead and cut to that when he comes on. So let's continue.
In Australia, because of berries, they showed Thailand, 30% tariffs on beef coming from the United States. Vietnam, 50%. You look at these numbers, and the ranchers of Wyoming are saying, thank you, Mr. President, it is about time.
We've got to see. Unless you know those numbers, because they're never publicized. Like I said earlier, there should have been a tracker on, how they did during COVID days, and they say, oh, this many people were positive, negative, and how many people died, and it would be like a little box on the screen, like right down here. Why? How come we don't, every time we talk about China, oh, by the way, they're doing this, and did you know Australia is doing that? And nope, didn't care. Didn't care that you were taking our dollars, our hard-earned money, and shipping it over to Australia. I still contend that we really don't have debt. We have so much theft that they just took it from us, and they continue to take it from us. And then you can add on top of that all that USAID stuff. Just trillions, just gone. Poof. And Americans didn't know. And their politicians, both sides, didn't tell them. Maybe because they're both in on it.
This is a national security issue. I mean, we don't make medicine in this country anymore. We don't make ships. We don't have enough steel and aluminum to fight a battle, right?
I have to stop there. Because if you didn't know about the burgers, did you know about that? Do you know if we got into a war, we're screwed. We'd have to literally go back to Rosie the Riveter. I got nobody making anything. We're even reliant on these other countries to send us pharmaceuticals. We're reliant on these other countries to send us steel. I wasn't kidding when I used that homecoming queen being pimped out analogy. We don't have anything. They took it all from us. And then said, you got to pay for it to have it come back. We're going to let them sell it. We're going to let them be the ones who provide it. But it's our stuff, our money. Yeah, you're going to have to pay them inflated prices to get the same stuff back here. So when Howard Lutnick said this is a national security issue, hell yeah. Anybody who would walk into that Oval Office should have said, wait a minute, wait, we don't make any of this? Nope. So if we decided we needed to build some aircraft carriers or something, can we do it? Years. We can't drill. We have to buy our oil from someplace else, even though we can do it right here. No, we can't do it here. Everything you looked at, I guarantee you when Trump had the meeting with his different people, like, they stopped that too. Yeah. Where do we get that? Where do you get milk from? Canada. Wait a second. We got cows. We got farms, and we're importing milk from Canada at 300% tariffs. Yes. Oh. That makes sense to anybody? Probably because most of these people, if not almost all, aren't business people. President Trump's a businessman. President Trump built skyscrapers in New York. He had to deal with the mobsters and the New York government. And so I'm sure when he went in there, he's like, nah, this ain't happening. And they shut him down in the first term because they surrounded him and didn't let him move. And now he surrounded himself with people who have the same ideology, and they're willing to kick some butt about this.
Semiconductors are made overseas, so every button we press when we try to start our car or even use our microwave, these are all semiconductors. They're all made elsewhere. We've got to start to protect ourselves, and we've got to stop having all the countries of the world ripping us off. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us. They're earning our money. They're taking our...
See, when they talk in these 60-minute Face the Nations thing, and he talks, he's so brilliant, and he's making these statements, and I'm thinking, whoa, slow down. Slow down, Howie. The American people are not digesting what you just said. The American people, some, may not even know what you just said. You need to have that and bring it down to an 8th grade level so everybody can understand what the hell you just said. So what he just said... And let me just back it up again, because this is such an amazing statement, what he says, and it's also scary as well. Listen to this.
Steel and aluminum to fight a battle, right? All our semiconductors are made overseas, so every button we press when we try to start our car or even use our microwave, these are all semiconductors. They're all made elsewhere. We've got to start to protect ourselves, and we've got to stop having all the countries of the world ripping us off. We have a $1.2 trillion trade deficit, and the rest of the world has a surplus with us.
Right there. That right there. He just said in the sentence, Margaret Brennan's an idiot. We got a 1 gigawatt deficit, and they're in surplus. Make that make sense. I would love to see the debt clock of other countries. Actually, I wouldn't. I would probably scream. You would probably scream. Because as he just said, most of these countries have surpluses, meaning they have much more money than they owe. How is it that this country, with the best, biggest market in the world, is upside down? The only answer to that is that it was forcefully made to be upside down. When you accept that and you convict yourself, wait a minute, because Trump and these people keep saying we've been screwed, now you realize it. Because people should be asking, what's the debt clock look of New Zealand? Oh. What's the debt clock of, I don't know, Ireland? Why are we the one with the big debt clock upside down? Oh, that's right. They all got surpluses. How the hell they have surpluses? They're this big. How do they make money when they don't do anything? Oh, that's right. We give it to them. And yet we're the ones who are the bad guys. We're the ones who the news and media are complaining about. And I'm thinking to myself, either people don't get it or they don't care. Or they just don't know. Because they may not understand the difference between a deficit and a surplus. Or how other countries don't have the $36 trillion in debt. Look it up. Educate yourself. Find out how much debt New Zealand has. How much debt does Portugal have? probably pretty easy to find out. And then say, well, why do we got 36 trillion? Somebody's like, we've been infiltrated. Yeah, that's why we have people hungry here. Exactly. It's deviant. It's evil because it's easy to see. And he just went through it, and I'm like, that was one of the biggest clips people should stop on. We're in debt. They have surpluses. Like, what? Wait a minute. And they're only in surplus because they've taken our money. And Trump's like, no, it's not going to work that way.
They're earning our money, they're taking our money,
Right.
and Donald Trump has seen this, and he's going to stop it. So it is going to be a big change. Of course it's going to be a big change, but the rest of the world has been ripping us off for all these many years. Donald Trump has seen it, he's spoken about it,
I understand
and he's just
that,
not going to
and
take it anymore, and that's his model.
The same people.
See, she didn't even care. All she wanted to do was fight through it and get to something else. I understand, but I want to talk about, he deported someone who was... That's so big. They don't want you talking about it. They don't care. We deserve it for some reason. They feel like we should have to pay and give till it hurts. Yet every other country, they don't have any problem with it. And they don't even want you talking about it. You ask a couple liberals, well, what about, I don't know, Mauritanians? What about, I don't know, pick a country. Let's play. Let's take a dart and hit a globe with it and tell me what's their surplus or deficit. And then let me ask you how much of American dollars go to that country. It doesn't make any fiscal sense. It doesn't make there's no reasoning behind it. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, media skimming money. This is to show the dollar strength. Exactly. Let's see here. I can't unhear this. I can't unhear this. Portugal is $282 billion in debt. Okay, they're not one of the ones with the surplus. Let's keep going. Find out where the rest of them. All she wanted was to get her mind-controlling talking points to the brainwashed. Yeah, exactly. America needs way more thinking and a lot less compassion for return. I checked Japan, and we could pay off their debt in 1 month. Why we got $36 trillion? Who enforces us to pay the debt? That's a good question there. That's a really good question. I want to know who we owe. I just looked at the debt clock in Ireland. It's $234 billion and going down. That's a good day at the office for us. We pay that off. These liberals don't want to hear it because it makes Trump look like the smart man we trust. Yes, then someone asked, was that Margaret? Yes, that was Margaret Brennan from CBS. They just want to destroy America. Yolanda, get out the bushes. I love you, Barry. I'm in the bushes learning and supporting. Some people are too busy paying bills and working and taking care of their kids. They really don't know what's really going on in politics while we are even in debt. Yeah. Imagine that. You were taught, as I was, that you should grow up, get married, actually grow up, get a job, get married, work for 40 years, Monday through Friday for 40 years, then retire. Which other cultures are like, why don't you enjoy your time while you're young? And then later on, here, our country was told by the time you're old, then you can like start traveling or something. Like, well, all my youth is when I would have enjoyed everything. And now you're telling me when I'm old and just about to, go sit in a rocking chair, you're going to give me a pittance of Social Security. A lot of people right now thinking, yeah, I was sold a bill of goods. I mean, Robin's father worked for 34 years at one company. He was a pipe fitter. and he just worked 34 years. And then he retired, and he got, it's just crazy. It makes me sick. Let's see here. Democrats funding Act Blue with taxpayer funds. Yep, absolutely. According to Trump, USA borrowed money from China and just sent it overseas over and over again. This stuff they don't tell you about. It's just absolutely crazy. Our politicians have been bought. Yeah, we can't bury because we are paying for the other countries. I still contend that okay. So if some of you guys have looked up what some of these other countries have in debt, and you have to then wonder well, you saw Australia just completely imploded. Overnight, I was watching the stories, one after one, boom, 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 just crashing. All because, think about this, these are supposedly sovereign countries with their own economies, and America says, you know what, we're going to tax you. We're going to hit you with 10, 15, 20, 25%, and boom. And I'm thinking to myself, why would the global economy begin crashing because America's like, we're going to do some austerity here and pull back, okay? We can't afford it anymore. I'm sorry. We can't do this. All jumping out of windows.
That are criticizing President Trump's agenda to restore America, to usher in this new golden age, are the ones who ordered us to lock down during COVID and close all of the schools. They're the ones who opened the borders and flooded our cities with illegal aliens. They're the ones who brought us nothing but death and destruction in the Middle East, one disaster after another. They are the ones who empowered a federal bureaucracy to steal our rights and our voices as citizens, crush dissent, crush free speech, crush industry. They're the ones who allowed China and foreign countries to take our most essential industries out of the United States, gravely imperiling our national security and destroying the working and middle classes of this country. That is what President Trump inherited. That is what he is boldly and bravely repairing every single day. The southern border now, under his leadership, has the lowest number of legal crossings in the history of the United States of America. Not in the last 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, in the history of these United States. Under President Trump.
How can that be? How can that man have been inaugurated on January 20th, 21st, and in the history of the United States, already taken the border to its lowest level ever? There's only one answer. He tried. That's it. That is the answer to that question. Oh yeah, he actually tried. He knew what to do. And again, people were lied to. They were lied to their face. They were told by Biden that he needed congressional approval and more money and this and that and the other thing. And it's not true. Completely bamboozled.
For the first time since the rise of China, we are protecting and defending our jobs and our manufacturing base. And we are preventing foreign countries from making it impossible to defend ourselves in the event of a national emergency. Manufacturing security is national security. And he is taking on the rogue bureaucracy and the rogue judiciary that have sapped and stolen and frittered away the rights of our people and pushed them into the hands of unelected power centers. He is, in every sense of the word, restoring national democracy and popular sovereignty. He is making America free again, Mark.
The markets lost more than $6 trillion in value. Was this disruption always part of the plan, Mr. Secretary?
Look, markets are organic, animals, and you never know what the reaction is going to be. One thing that I can tell you as the Treasury Secretary, what I've been very impressed with is the market infrastructure, that we had record volume on Friday, and everything is working very smoothly, so the American people, they be very take great comfort in that. And in terms of the market reaction, look, we get these short-term market reactions from time to time. The market consistently, estimates Donald Trump. I remember that in 2016, the night President Trump won, the market crashed. And it turned out he was going to be the most pro-business president in over a century, maybe in the history of the country. And we went on to very high after inflation returns for the next 4 years.
Well, but this...
She's about to throw up on herself. They don't know how to deal with the Trump administration. None of them. Because they can't beat fact. Just so you know, President Trump and, let's see here. Hold on. We go here. President Trump, and I believe this is Bibi Netanyahu, is just arriving.
What we're not talking about is oil was $76, now it's $65.
My bad. I wanted to show you what Charles here is. Charles Payne is talking about where gas prices are headed.
Gasoline prices are going to plummet. Any other time, that would be the number one story. In fact, if you go to the polls, what will get you elected as president? Much cheaper gasoline or Wall Street crying? I'm just being honest about it, right? So, yeah, people have these stocks in their 401ks, and guess what? We've been through it. There's a correction on average every year. There's a bear market every couple of years. I think most people are accustomed to that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and people shouldn't be freaking out. This is what I wanted to show you, and I'll come back to that. This is Bibi Netanyahu arriving at the White House.
It's coming right now, actually. Yeah. But we want to look at you. We don't want to look at me. Yeah, and I can actually step out of the way here and see. So he's coming by right now. Our position here. Followed by a little caravan. That's the media that's following Benjamin Netanyahu coming into the White House. You can see him momentarily as the camera's panning over to show that car just passed us. President Trump historically does come out himself to greet the world leaders, which breaks from tradition a little bit. Usually they have a White House honoring folk to come out and meet him, but you see President Trump there at the door waiting for Bibi Netanyahu.
All right, so we're about scheduled for about 26 minutes before President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu come out and talk to everybody about having a joint press conference. So that's going to be pretty interesting. So let's continue. I've got some more video here. Hold on.
For the next 4 years.
Well, but
the reason the Democrats are so flummoxed is not because they don't understand why President Trump put these tariffs on. It's because they 100% understand why he put the tariffs on. They just cannot imagine having this kind of courage and a heart for the American working class.
See, I don't even know if they can't imagine this amount of courage, or it's terrifying to them because everything that they've been working to since Obama was president, maybe even before Obama was president, to have this one world global citizen order. We were supposed to be the fuel. We were the coal nuggets to fuel this global alliance that they were putting together. Beyond alliance, global citizenry, where they were going to have a one world government. And it was basically, the problem that they had is they wanted America to pay for it all. Great idea. Let's call it a one world government, but we're going to actually take it from you guys. So it should have been like a one country government, because all of these little countries, the EU and everybody else, wanted to feed off of America. And so now the Democrats can't acknowledge what's happening because all of their utopian dreams of a Marxist socialist society is falling apart in front of their eyes. That's why, well, one of the reasons why they're also getting violent. Because they can't accept, they've worked so hard for this. They've worked for decades to tear down America, and Trump's on the precipice of turning it all around, and he's only been in office for 90 days. That's got to be scary.
The way that the president does. There's one other group that's feeling as angry as the Democrats are, and it's Wall Street. Because Wall Street, of course, is now a Democrat backer.
Yes.
The rage that you see on Wall Street, what they are trying to do here is they are shorting the president's agenda because Wall Street thinks, after 60 years of being utterly catered to, that they control this country and that they should.
No, I had to break there because I wanted to tell you guys something. I should have kept it. There is a chart on X that shows there has been more shorting of the market in the last week than in the history of Wall Street. Shorting. Shorting is betting that something is going to go down. Some people are manipulating things, and I hope I proved that to you. Do I still have that? Do I still have that, Mr. Producer? No, there's no producer. Let me see if I can find that real quick. Yeah, I have this. Okay. Let me show this to you because, again, this is specifically proves what she's saying and what I've been telling you about the market being totally manipulated. 1 second, let me pull it up here because it's simply amazing. Which window is it? Okay, it's this window. All right, so we're going to cut to here. I want to show you that. This spike here, as I said earlier, that was the spike when everybody thought Trump was going to pause the tariffs. Straight up. Oh, he's going to pause it. Boom. Goes right up. Oh, that was fake. Put it back down. Literally, it dropped right back down as soon as the White House said, no, we're not going to pause anything. We're going to see this through. Tell me how that happens if it's not being manipulated. Tell me how it immediately spikes and goes to a peak. It actually got into the positive as soon as they heard he was going to stop the tariffs. And then when the White House came out and said, no, we're not stopping it, boom, it dropped. That's how you know you're being played. There's no possible way to have a direct upward movement, not a gradual, bam, immediate. But if you're not looking at the chart, you don't see this. If people aren't pointing this out to you and saying, how did that happen? How did the entirety of the market, remember, this is the Dow Jones, this is the Dow, this isn't some specific stock, that's the entirety of the market. Bam, it went straight up. It's basically impossible. That was a whole bunch of people salivating going, hey, it's over, huh? Let's go ahead and hit the buttons and buy and do it. Oh, he didn't do it. Sell, sell, sell. It's all being manipulated. Wall Street understands what their job is. That was supposed to come right back because they would have been on the news. Hey, as soon as President Trump announced a pause, the market responded favorably. They obviously don't want to see President Trump having the tariffs. And that's what had been on the news. And it happened immediately.
Control the president and all of our elected officials. And of course, they think that because that has been the case for so long.
Suponete lo siguiente.
Okay, so before he starts, you understand that in terms of the manipulation. And the other thing about that, this is important too. Let me go back to this. It is only 2:10, so there is plenty of time for more shenanigans, as I would call it. But I want you to just pay attention to, where is that? What number is that so I can pull it up on the screen? Okay. Let me make sure I pull that up. All right, so if you notice, let me refresh to make sure that I stay current with you guys. All right, this is very important to watch. Very important to watch. Jim Cramer, all kinds of people said today, after what they saw over the weekend, excuse me, that the market was going to collapse today. Remember that? You probably heard some of the video, right? As of right now, at 2:10, there's still 2 hours to go, so we never know. We never know what's going to happen. I'm sure the press conference coming up, they may say something, but as of right now, the market is only down 162 for today. It didn't collapse. That's got to cause some people some serious consternation. Like, wait a minute. Are people accepting this stuff? It's only down 162? Only down 0.5%? We expected to be down 20%. We called for Armageddon today. down 173. So with all the downward pressure that's being applied, because people are shorting things, it's only down 173. As long as you understand the market's not the economy, but still, Jim Cramer, I don't even know how that dude can still be on TV. When you look at this and say, okay, it's going down now, 186. We'll keep an eye on this. We'll see what happens. But even 186, that's not bad, given that everyone thought it was going to completely collapse. So you have to see the fluctuation and the manipulation that's taken place.
Una empresa, sí, que produce, por ejemplo, productos textiles y que la.
This is Javier Milei from Argentina talking about the tariffs. Now, unless you speak, I don't know what language they speak in Argentina, Portuguese, I'm not really sure, but made sure the subtitles were available for you to hear how he talks about the tariffs.
Importación, digamos, me está lloviendo la importación de Pakistán. Entonces, pido que me den aranceles de un 600%, o sea, que el precio se multiplique.
Que te traben la importación.
Claro, por 7, porque si no yo tengo que echar, no a 200, a 600 familias. Entonces vos decís, uy, mirá, digamos, claro, si vos abrís la importación, vas a hacer quebrar a esta empresa, ¿sí? Y vas a dejar 600
Pero no
personas.
pasó eso, por ejemplo, en los 90.
No, fíjate, este es el punto. Cuando vos abrís la economía, es claro que el que no es competitivo va a quebrar. Pero también lo que vos vas a ver es que en ese sector se destruyeron 600 puestos de trabajo. Lo que vos tenés que mirar es esto, que esa persona que tiene que gastar en ese bien textil, ¿sí? En lugar de gastar 700 ahora, va a gastar 100. Y le quedan 600 para gastar en otros sectores de la economía, con lo cual va a estar creando empleo en otros sectores de la economía. Entonces vos vas a tener una ganancia de bienestar por varias cosas. Por un lado, porque vos vas a estar aplicando los recursos a sectores que son más productivos y por ende los salarios reales van a ser más altos. ¿Por qué? Porque te van a pagar más salario por ser más productivo y porque además vas a estar comprando bienes a precios más bajos, con lo cual vos ahí tenés una ganancia de bienestar. Y no se termina solo ahí. Como vos además tenés recursos para gastar en más bienes, el aumento en la diversidad de los bienes de consumo también deriva en un aumento de bienestar.
We stand ready to negotiate.
Now, I don't speak the language, but I can read. And here's a man who completely turned around the economy of Argentina. And he's like, this is how it works. And here's further proof that it works. Remember, like last week, way back last week, the Euros were telling us, beating their chest, that screw Trump, we're going to do it on our own. And Macron was like, we're going to get together. We don't need Trump in the United States. And Carney from Canada. And they're all just funny. This morning, the head, the leader, I don't know if she's president or whatever, of the European Union had this to say.
Negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods.
0 for 0, she says. 0 for 0. That's what Trump wanted. But now that's not going to be enough because she just said it was just on industrial goods. He's going to want it on everything.
As we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because you're...
Again, if people don't stop and let you hear this stuff, you would possibly miss it. So she's saying, we'll go to 0-0. Like we've done with many other trading partners. Wait a second. So you've been giving them the deal, letting them have the money that they need, but you've been sticking it to the United States. Because it was her words. Like we've done with many other trading partners. Well, what are we? Chop, flipping liver? Now, after Trump is ready to turn off the spigot and make you guys go down the toilet, now you're willing to treat us like other trading partners? I don't think that's going to be good enough. We're better than other trading partners. You're going to have to do even more to entice us. Not just on industrial goods. It's going to be on everything. Or you can just go ahead and circle the bowl. Either way, see if your other trading partners can make up for what you'd miss in America.
Europe is always ready for a good deal, so we keep it on the table.
World trade lifts the boats of everyone, and no country has benefited more from the last 40 or 50 years of free trade than the United States has. But it's also true that these other countries have been cheating and lying. Listen, I want to make sure that your viewers understand something. The reason that we've had a trade deficit in terms of goods is because we are importing capital from the rest of the world. It's just a mathematical equation. We're the best place in the world to invest in. Foreigners have to bring capital into the United States, and the only way they can do that is if they.
Now, one of the things I want you to pay attention to, in addition to what Steve's saying, like, why are we giving away our capital, is that when they were recording this, we were down nearly 1,600 points. I just showed you we're down about 180 points. Because what happened was, shortly after these guys were talking, is when the news came out that, hey, he's going to pause it, and shot right up. I mean, immediately. Went into the positive. So I guess what I'm trying to point out to you is when it gets to a point, and this is when you may want to look at some things, when it gets close, and today, who knows, that may have been a leak. Maybe it is true. Maybe he will announce it today. But when it gets announced, if it ever gets announced, that he feels like, okay, I've got deals with everybody in place, boom, it's going to explode.
We buy more from them than they do from us. But the trade deficit is not the problem. The problem is their tariffs are up here, ours are down here. Trump has the moral high ground here. And I'm going to say it again. All that has to happen to stop this is for these foreign leaders to get on the phone and say, let's negotiate. We'll bring our tariffs down, which would be better for everyone. Stuart, okay. I feel like.
Isn't that odd? Just happen to look at that. That Dollar Tree is up 5% while everybody else is in the red. Oh, that's very interesting. Just thought it was interesting.
Pulling my hair out.
By and large, tariffs are good for us.
All right, so after all this, we've been hearing all the doom gloom. CNBC reaches out and gives out this report. You can't make heads or tails of the media these days. On the same exact shows, they may say two different things. This guy's talking about, on CNBC, he's talking about tariffs being a good thing.
Break it down. If politics were a video game and the president were a character you could play, tariffs would be your most powerful economic move. But what's a tariff? Basically a tax any business has to pay to bring goods into a country. The USA is uniquely a reasonably big country with a huge consumer class by global standards. So most every sizable company in the world needs to sell here. The argument against tariffs is that they just tax the U.S. consumer. If you say
what he just said there, another very important. Man, they go too fast. They should stop because they're assuming everybody knows what they're saying. What he just said was, every other country needs, not wants, needs America. So, I don't know about you, but I'm going to go back to my homecoming queen analogy. Every young boy, every guy in the football team wants to date the homecoming queen. None of them would have a chance if they treated a homecoming queen like crap. This guy on CNBC, as well as everybody else knows, we are the prime jewel. We are the best. They want to be with us. So why would we, or rather, why would our government have ever allowed us to be tarnished? Why make us look bad? Why? It's a horrible term, but I had to use it. Why did you pimp us all out? It wasn't like we needed to. They're coming. They want to be America. They want to get as much of our money as possible. Why couldn't we have competed on an equal platform? Hey, France, you want to sell wines here? Yeah. Well, we got California wines we want to sell over there. Oh, no, you cannot sell wine here. What do you mean? You're going to sell it here? No, if you sell wine here, we charge you 3 times as much. Now, when that conversation happened, whenever it happened, the person in charge right then and there should have said, hey, I don't remember who the president was of France, but you should have said right then and there, how about you go pound sand? How about no? How about hell no? But instead, whoever cut the deal said, We can't sell unless we charge an extra 300%. Okay. Think about it, because that's how the conversation went. Oh no, you can't sell here. We know a lot of California wines here. We have to charge 300% tariff. But we don't want any tariffs coming in. And somebody said yes. Somebody said, that sounds pretty good. So if you know every country in the world wants to play here, why would we allow any country to dictate to us anything? That's where it just drives me crazy. It is so like the game of Monopoly. Everybody wants Park Place. and you come around the board and like, I know I want that. Why did you allow this to happen? If it weren't something nefarious. There's nothing business-wise where this makes any sense. One of the reasons may be because they wanted to, continue making sure we charge income tax here. Because if things are like what Howard Lutnick says and what President Trump has said, if we were so rich of a country that these countries were paying us instead of us paying them, then how much would our population be more wealthy? See, if they couldn't hold over you SNAP benefits and Medicare and Medicaid, if they couldn't hold over your head all this stuff, because they tell you that we need the money for the entitlements, because they spent decades building this carrot in front of you. Meanwhile, what if you were sitting on $100,000 or $200,000 that they didn't take from you for the last 30 years? Imagine that. Imagine if you didn't pay taxes since 1970. Add that up in your head. And what would you be sitting on right now instead of waiting every month for a Social Security payment? I'll let you add that up because that's what had happened, right? So basically your entire life you've been paying into this system that has been screwing you and allowing other people to participate in the screw. Meanwhile, you went to work every single day. You paid your taxes for 25 or 30 years, and you sitting around waiting for a Social Security check. Well, if you said, you know what, there wasn't any taxes, I'd probably be sitting on about $200,000 or $300,000. Exactly. Well, no, you wouldn't be sitting on it because you would have spent a bunch of it, but still, it would have been, you'd have done stuff. Have that second house, that vacation home, that nice Corvette your husband always wanted. You would have all that. And you would have your own medical because you could pay your own medical insurance. You would need Medicaid or Medicare. That was all brainwashing because they were taking your money. And now you're finding it out. Like, wait a second, I've been a slave. Yeah. And now you got to sit on the phone and wait, 3 days before somebody calls you back. Oh, then we'll do some Obamacare. Oh, okay. That's been the whole thing with me in terms of being a capitalist is get out of my way. Let me keep more of my money, and I'll take care of myself. Government, you won't even have to worry. I don't even care about Social Security. Imagine being able to say that. Imagine saying, I don't want the Social Security dollars. Keep it. I don't care. I'm good. How many of you would love to say, hey, listen, I don't need the Social Security, so why don't I just give it to my grandson? Let him bank it. I don't care. Can you imagine? Because that's true. We have been screwed.
I have to pay $100 to bring my $100 widget over from China. I'll just charge $200 for it. But it doesn't always work that way. What tariffs can also do is encourage companies to avoid the extra charge by making things here in the U.S. Or they can level the playing field for U.S. manufacturers who are getting crushed by cheap imports. So you can't just swallow these headlines that claim tariffs are just a tax on U.S. consumers. If tariffs always dramatically raise prices for consumers, why didn't that happen in 2018 and 2019? The truth is that the U.S. U.S. has been so focused on making it easy to import goods from other countries that we've made it reflexive for other countries to tariff U.S. products while we let overseas goods flood in, and tariffs can't stop that, Joe.
Well, that was fantastic, John. Here's what's going to happen.
Yeah, John, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. When you break it down and actually have people explain it to you, and because none of these people do you have access to, and the Democrats will not talk about it. Fair share. We got to pay your fair share. Where'd that come from? How about if I said no? How about no? I don't want to pay my fair share. I don't owe a fair share. I work for my money. People would freak out. No, there is no fair share. You need a road paved? Pay for it. I'm not paying for 40 years so I can get a monthly payment that allows me to live in some hovel in South Florida just so you can send money to all these other countries. In fact, at this point, I need to send somebody an invoice. You owe me. You sent money to Ukraine, you sent money here, you sent money there, you've been allowing us to get ripped off. You owe me a lot more than a Social Security check each month. And you can stick that Medicare and Medicaid, I'm going to go get me a silver platinum policy with somebody. That's what Americans should be saying right now. They shouldn't be beholden to the government going, oh my God, I hope this doesn't screw this up. I hope it does in a good way. Don't want any of you guys to lose any of your benefits. But I would hope that we become so prosperous as a country again that you don't need it. Hey, just give me my money. How about that? How about just pay us back? How about you give me back my fair share?
I'm going to just give it to you in English. Mm-hmm. Every single tariff schedule, they started in the Second World War, that far back, on every product in every country has never been looked at this way. So India, Ireland, England, Canada, Mexico. If you charge 243%, which is what they charge Vermont butter when it goes into Quebec, they're going to put a reciprocal tax on it April 2nd. Even Steven. Mm-hmm. So butter coming in from Quebec is going to be taxed at 243% into Vermont. And then,
doesn't that just make simple sense? If the butter in Vermont is getting taxed so that it's twice as expensive in Canada, why wouldn't the Canadian butter be charged twice? None of it makes any sense. You want to sell your butter here? Come on, compete. I'll sell my butter there. Let the shopper go through the stores and go, this butter tastes better. No, but you try and fix the game. That's the problem.
Happens, both sides look at each other and say, this is pretty dumb. Why are we doing this to each other? And they say, how about no tariffs?
Yes.
That's why this works. Because you got to squeeze. Yeah.
April 2nd is going to be a big...
Okay, before Scott Bissett talks, I'm just going to ask you that. Why wouldn't it just work? It's such a no-brainer question that you, me, anybody we talk to is like, should it be whatever you're doing, I'm going to do? So since we don't, I don't care if you charge $200 and I charge $200. Hey, that's kind of stupid. Since we're just exchanging tariffs, why don't we make it no tariffs? Just sell what you want, and I mean, according, we'll make sure it's good stuff, and we'll sell what we want. It has to adhere to our standards. It has to adhere to your quality standards. I get that. But other than that, why am I paying twice what it cost just for the privilege of selling to Canada and then having them sell us their stuff at 4 times? I don't know who made this stuff up. Literally, as you begin thinking about it, you can only come to one conclusion, that this doesn't make any sense. All right, so they're getting ready. He's not on yet. So let me finish this up. I have about 2 minutes, and then Let's see what happens here.
Today, we're going to roll out the reciprocal tariffs, but what I can tell you, and I would encourage your viewers and the public and the media to follow, going into April 2nd, and already now we've seen some of our most imbalanced trading partners come forward and want to drop their tariffs. So by President Trump pushing forward with a tariff plan, reciprocal tariffs, if you drop yours, we'll drop ours. We are already seeing some of the worst offenders come down. April 2nd is an important day, but I would also tell everyone to look what happens from April 2nd to, say, June 30th as the other countries come down too. And President Trump's created a win-win situation here. Either the tariff barriers come down, the U.S. can export more, trade is fairer. It's always been free, but not fair. And then we, or if they don't do it, we'll take in substantial revenues.
I got a report from the USTR.
It makes too much sense. That's the problem. It makes a whole lot of sense. I don't know if Democrats are out of sense or that their Marxist socialist perspective drive them into wanting to steal from Americans. So right now they're going to talk about some of the reports that were out earlier.
Last night that more than 50 countries have reached out to the president to begin a negotiation. But they're doing that because they understand that they bear a lot of the tariff. And so I don't think that you're going to see a big effect on the consumer in the U.S. because I do think that the reason why we have a persistent long-run trade deficit is these people have very inelastic supply. They've been dumping goods into the country in order to create jobs, say, in China.
Spoke to Caroline.
Okay, so wanted to show you. He's like, I don't think we're going to see a big negative effect on people. This is interesting. BlackRock CEO, Larry Fink, calls current market situation, quote, a buying opportunity. He views it as no long-term systemic risks. Reuters. Oh, it's such a shell game. Hey, it looks okay with us. We're going to start buying. That's what I told you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to say I told you so, but I do. Because this is like watching a movie that you've already seen before. This to me it's literally watching old reruns. Because it's so easy to predict what's going to happen. That's why I've been, what some people have called me, flippant, by saying millions and possibly billions are going to be made in the next 90 days. Because I've seen this movie. I've lived through it. You've lived through it. It is always going to be that way. And even now with President Trump trying to get rid of or equal the playing field, that just makes it another way to make profit. You watch. The interest rates are going to go down. Inevitably. They're going to go down. That's why I've been salivating and saying, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what's about to happen because interest rates are going to drop probably close to 5. And then once they do that, stuff's going to get crazy. All right, so I'm waiting for President Trump to come out with his press conference with Bibi Netanyahu, but let's finish off with this.
With the White House press secretary on the phone just a short time ago, and she tells me it is quote-unquote fake news that the White House is considering a 90-day pause. So the White House pouring cold water on this idea, wherever it came from, that they're considering a 90-day pause on tariffs, saying that the president is committed to his tariff regime, and any reports that he's considering a 90-day pause are, quote, fake news. That from the White House press secretary on the record just a short time ago to me on the cell phone here.
You see that? See the green there? They had to come back out and say it was fake news because as soon as they somehow got that news, he's going to pause it. You can see again here, it went right up. There's not a clear indication that you're being manipulated. You can see it right there. It went straight up. And then as soon as he comes out and people start saying it got around fake news, it went back down. We're being had.
As we try to sort through where this came from and why it is that the market became convinced that might be a possibility. The White House saying it is not a possibility, Carl.
The first rule, particularly for the smaller investors out there, you can't lose money unless you sell. And right now, the smart strategy is not to panic, just stay in, because we are going to have the biggest boom in the stock market we've ever seen under the Trump policies. We will find a bottom in this market quickly. We will hit 50,000 on the Dow easily by the end of this term.
You don't lose until you sell. I covered that on my last show. You don't lose until you sell. And in that regard, if you don't sell, you're sitting okay. You haven't lost anything. Although it may seem to some people like they've lost something. It just doesn't work that way. All right, let me go ahead and talk to you guys about one of my favorite things, and lately your favorite things, has been the Trump knife, the red knife. And here it is right here, pulling it out of the box. This is how it comes in, just like this. Folks, Trump is finally back in office, and it's only going to get better from here. As a celebration, Patriot Addict is sending our free Trump red knives to people who voted for Trump. Just scan the QR code over here to get yours now. This is just their way of saying thank you for supporting him and being part of this moment in history. Normally this knife retails for $70, but right now you can grab it just for the cost of shipping, which I believe is like $13.99. Just scan the QR code to the right or visit berryknife.com, berryknife.com. To apply your 100% off coupon and claim your Trump knife today before they're all gone. Again, that's berryknife.com. Or scan the QR code right here to grab yours for free. And I've shown this many times. This is the Trump knife, the red Trump knife. Pretty cool. You can see it here. You got your belt clip if you want to put it on a clip there. And it's got a little thing here where you can snip a seat belt if you're stuck. And you can also go ahead and pop a window if you're underwater. Sometimes happens down here in South Florida. It is a pretty big knife. It's got some serious weight to it. Some of the people who have gotten theirs will tell you that. It is not flimsy by any means. Very sharp. Watch out. So if you'd like one, just go ahead and let me just close this so I don't cut my fingers. Go over here and click the QR code or go to berryknife.com. berryknife.com. All right, so let me take some comments while we're waiting for President Trump to come out. Just checking the things very much here. All right, so I'm watching the screens. He's supposed to come out at 2:30, and so we are at this point. He hasn't. So let's take some comments. Let's talk amongst ourselves, shall we? Did Trump speak yet? No, he and Bibi have not come out as of yet. Just waiting for that to happen. I want to see Barry on 5 on the 5. Here in California, yep, awesome knife. Bought it. 3, love it. Gave 1 to my oldest son, 1 for my younger son. Very cool. Very cool. Let's see here. I am working. Good move. Where I saw Working Man. That was violent. It's quite violent, but it is a good movie. Trump is speaking now. Nope, he's not speaking now. Let me just check again, make sure we're not missing anything. I don't have him. Nope, I don't have him. Berryknife.com isn't there? Where? BARRYKNIFE.com. And yep, it's there. I don't know why. I don't know if sometimes people just troll things or if they just type wrong or something, but it's certainly there because I can show it to you. Yeah, there it is right there. Barry, and you can see there's my mug right there. So it's definitely working. Definitely working. Berryknife.com. I mean, I don't understand. Sometimes we see people who come on and they will say stuff like that. I'm like, What do you mean it's not working? But in any event, it's there. So don't know what to say. Everyone knew over a month time there would be tariffs. If they were concerned, they should have sold their stocks and put them in the money market. Yep. Hey, SB, I didn't know you were around today. Working Man was all action-packed. Yeah, we have to tell people because they may not be prepared. It was quite violent. Whoever started that rumor probably had stocks to unload. Wow. Didn't even think of that. Imagine that. You were sitting there, your stocks were tanking, and you got on the media, or if you're part of the media, and you said, hey, yeah, he's going to pause it. And then you watch it shoot up, and then you go ahead and sell your... Ooh, good. Wow. That's pretty interesting. You're right there. I have learned more in the last few days than I have in a lifetime. That's problematic because they just don't tell you. They don't. Our government is just the way it is. They're not telling anybody anything. I'm looking at let me put this up. Government doesn't tell you anything. Some breaking news just caught my eye. I just wanted to show you guys this real quick. It says here, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was just ordered to begin negotiations now with Japan to usher in the golden age of global trade with the island nation. Ooh. We're going to see a lot of that. Just watch for it. We are definitely going to see a lot of that in the next couple of days. Different countries coming in saying, we don't want to do this. Just keep your eyes peeled. So if the tariffs were such a bad thing, then tell me why all these countries are getting there. The QR code's not working. Oh, I'm sorry. I will have to let them know. Ashley, if you're watching, if you can let them know that people are saying the QR code is not working. I can't really do anything right now. All right, so let's see if anything else is happening. How old is this one? President Trump put this out. Wait a second. Might have some new news here too. As we're waiting, he has not come out. He's not speaking right now, so not sure what that is. Scott Bessent, that was from a while ago. Okay. Charlie Kirk has something funny to say here. And that's what I've been telling people the entire time as we're waiting for President Trump to come out is the sky is not falling. Keep your wits. Stay steady. Reagan reformed the American economy in the 80s. There was a market dip and gave rise to the 80s bull run. Building a foundation for sustained, healthy, low inflation will take some doing, but we have a historic opportunity. We must see it. As I've been saying for quite some time, the word opportunity has to be something you guys are looking at right now and understanding. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity right now. All right, so we're still waiting for President Trump to come out. Let's go ahead and take some more comments. Let's see here. That leak was a diagnostic, classic Hunter move. Put out irresistible bait and see what comes sniffing around. He also showed everyone that the market is being manipulated. Yep. If you can clearly see it, it went straight up. I mean, just vertical, meaning people are waiting they're pulling money out, they're doing funky stuff. It's crazy. Let's see here. Democrats playing Chicken Little. Yeah. Let's see. Was fake news of a tariff pause a move to expose the manipulation? Yep, because you can also trace back who did those trades. That's for sure. Let's see. What have they chosen here? They're showing Auburn, Alabama. I don't know. Maybe there's some tornadoes or something. What meeting was canceled? I don't see that. Did somebody say it's been canceled? Not really sure. Would I ever do The View and debate the crazies? You know, the problem with those shows is they're fake. Just to let you know, those things are all set up, and they already know who's going to, even the ones on CNN when Scott Jennings comes on, they know what they're going to say. They know, hey, listen, we need you to be this person, you need to be that person, and they're going to dictate how much time you have to spend and what you can do and all this kind of stuff. I don't see that the meeting is canceled. Hold on one second. Let's listen in here and see if anyone is saying that. I can easily put this on real quick. But I don't think it's canceled. Here, hold on.
The Vivid Seats of the world that dominate this industry. We've seen this with Taylor Swift. We've seen it with Kid Rock. We've seen it with different artists. Jay-Z's spoken on this as well. So as well as many country stars. In fact, Garth Brooks, the legend himself,
No, he's just burning time. At this point, we're all just waiting. And it's funny because here's what happens when you do this kind of stuff. I've been on, let's see here. I've been on for 3 hours and 11 minutes. I tried to time everything right to the point where he's going to walk out. So I know I'm going to do this, and then I know I'm going to talk to Kevin from Lear Capital, and then I know I've got this much of my own show to talk about and videos to bring to you guys, and you time it right to about 2:30. Maybe if you build in a little extra time, you're like, okay, just in case, we'll go to 2:40 or 2:45, just in case. And then he still doesn't come out. And so what the guy on that channel is doing, he's talking about Taylor Swift and what else?
removing additional regulatory banners on liquefied natural gas exports. If you saw our earlier interview with our resident meteorologist, Christine.
Yeah, everyone's just burning time right now. So unfortunately for them, they don't get to talk to people. I got a whole bunch of you guys I can talk. When has Trump ever canceled anything? Good point. Good point. Lindell TV announced that the press conference was canceled. Give me a second. Hold on. None of the people that I'm seeing. Well, put it this way: Rapid Response hasn't said it. Let me check with Caroline Levitt because Caroline Levitt would know first and foremost. Trump War Room. Nope, don't see it canceled. Don't. If you SV or anybody, if you see that the press conference was canceled, go ahead and let me know. But I don't see it being canceled. I think everybody's still on hold. Haven't seen any sort of announcement that the press conference has been canceled. Let me just see here. I'm going to check one other place. Hold on. It sounds like that might be SB contacting me. SB says... Okay. So, I don't know. Is that a good source? Wait a minute. Okay, so this is what SB has just pulled up. SB pulled this up. Let's see how I can pull this up for you. I want you guys to see this. This isn't exactly... All right, this says Diligent Dennison. I'm not really sure who this is, but it says President Trump's press conference with Netanyahu is canceled, but not the meeting. The meeting was moved to the Oval Office, and they are expected to sign a zero tariff agreement and field questions. So that's kind of weird. So it looks they're going to move. They're not doing the open press conference where they both stand out in the office there at the podium, but they're going to go into the Oval Office. Either way, I would like to hear what they have to say. Let me check Monica and see if she's got any information. No, Monica doesn't have any information. So I don't have any information from what I would consider top sources. I'm not sure. I'm looking around. So here's what I'm going to do. No press conference. It says change to Oval Office question and answer. So here's what they're going to do. All right. So it sounds like what they're going to do is what they've done in the past. They do what they do in the Oval Office, and then after they do it, they'll do their conference, and then they'll put the video out. So what they probably did is they canceled the live video, the live press conference. They're going to take videos, and then they're going to go from there. So that's what we're going to do. So what I'll do is at 7 o'clock, I'll have the full video for you, and then we'll go ahead and I've got the screen up now in case they cut to something, but it looks like what they're doing is just going to have their normal thing where they do the thing in the Oval Office, tape it, and then release it after it's been done, which I'll grab tonight. So that being said, let me go ahead and do super chats. All right, so I had put up a poll earlier because we're getting ready to move to the t-shirts, and I wanted to see if the ladies wanted V-neck or if the ladies wanted regular. So I'm not sure if it was 4,000 ladies or some guys answered too, but as of right now, it's pretty much split 52-48. So if it's not that big of a deal, it makes it easier for us if we just go with one t-shirt. So ladies, I'm going to leave it up for a little bit longer. So unless you want me to change it, we're probably just going to go with regular, and we'll see how that works out. All right, so let's go ahead. I don't know why I want to know why they canceled the press conference from being live. Maybe BB wanted to talk in person. I'm not really sure. All right, let me look at this, and where am I? Why is my window not working? Hold on one second. All right, here we go. All right, so the first one, let me read these off. Robert Husbands, thanks for the nut jobs on the street. Great entertainment. Thank you. That was fun for me, too. And Tin Lee, and to think politicians gaslit us, Russia is enemy. Yeah, imagine that. You've been told all this time that Russia is the enemy. George Jacob Music Ministries. Barry, check out Mark Levin post. Will do. George Jacobs again. I want you to sponsor my Christian music. George Jacobs again. My music ministry is winning souls. Let's talk. By the way, Thursday the 17th, we're doing a prayer night, so would love to have you guys join. But there'll be more information about that. Fazul, just imagine how prices would soar in the Kamala. Any temporary fluctuation to achieve the goal is welcome. Skate to where the puck is going. Indeed. Pete from... where is that? I'm not really sure. I bought a small amount of silver ETF last night and today. Thank you, Barry. You were inspiring me, even not being in the USA. Congrats. Angela, I covered this earlier. Yeah, you have to go to the website. Go to learberry.com. Job for 9. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change. Boom. Love that. Dave the Patriot. I'm going to laugh when the Fed tries to offer a huge interest rate drop to appease Trump, and he just laughs and says you're fired. Jesse Brown, thank you. Beavis McLean, Barry, I love what you do. Keep up the excellent work. Would you be willing to let me shout out my podcast that supports veterans, communities, and Super Chat? Keep up the great work. You just could have done it right there. Fazul, RFK with no farm ads is the bomb I'm waiting for. Me too. Release the crack, and that would be huge. CR, other countries are mad at us for not giving them our money now. Tough luck. Big time. Jog, love tariffs and gold, but our beef is full of GMOs and antibiotics, and even Bill Gates is adding more crap to our beef. No wonder our beef is refused in other countries. Really. Fazul, our leaders and crats got paid, and they let them rob us. Miss Avi, my Robinhood account value went up overnight. Yep, that's how it happens. Fazul, how about reparations for taxpayers? It's a one-way street. They don't send money back. Ryan, we have given Israel trillions, the most aid to any country. I think it's time for them to pay up more than Ukraine. Maybe they had a heated meeting. Not really sure. Biddles Bean, I bought the knife for my hubby and he loves it. It's very high quality and beautiful. Yep, thank you. And Susan McCauley, thank you very much. If you guys like to join our X group, you can join, and we'll be should have the website up probably today, but check this out. Hey, if you'd like to join 15,000 plus fellow patriots on X in our private X/Twitter group, go to fanfareshop.org/group. Just put in that URL in your browser. It'll take you right to our private group on X. Love to see you there. Let's share some content. And if you'd like to win a hoodie, or rather if you'd like to enter to win a hoodie, go to fanfareshop.org, fanfareshop.org, and register to win a Trump hoodie.
Welcome back to Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
All right, so I will see you guys tonight at 7 or 7:30. I'm going to wait and make sure I can get that Trump video once it comes out, so we know. I mean, there's some things coming out. I see something with, what's his name? Bibi Netanyahu signing a book, but the entire event is not out there yet. So we'll see that. Let me just check one more thing before I go, because it's at 3 o'clock, just to see where we are. Let me pull that up. All right, so just so you know, we don't know what's going to happen at the actual end of the day, but as of right now, the Dow is at 37,829, down 485. You have 1 hour to go, but it doesn't look like you're going to see that complete implosion that they were all calling for. That's a good thing. That's a very good thing. All right, we'll see you guys at it's probably going to be 7:30 at this point, given what time it is right now. Talk to you soon. I wanted to jump back in because I showed you the Dow, but I didn't show you is this, and this is something that you guys might want to take a look at, because the S&P, and people are talking about who's this Eric Doherty. The market isn't closed yet, but this sure is some sort of, quote, Black Monday, and the S&P is actually in the green. Imagine that. This was supposed to be, let me see if I can find what it is like right now. S&P 500. Let's see. Yeah, it's only negative 25. Let me see what the NASDAQ is at right now. So it did not, I mean, unless something happens here in the last few minutes, the NASDAQ is only down by 39. So the Black Monday that I think the Democrats were hoping for, that I think the media was hoping for, everybody to blame something on Trump, it didn't shake out the way they thought. NASDAQ is only down 40 as of right now, down 38. So again, the NASDAQ did the same thing as the Dow. Big spike as soon as they thought that this thing was going to be, the tariffs are going to be canceled. Bam. And now it's just hanging out. But that's not a implosion. So who knows? We have an hour to go. Things may change. They may try to manipulate it as best that they possibly can. But I think you're going to hear a different tune on the news tonight, because they didn't get what they were hoping for. It just didn't happen. You're going to see probably some screaming, gnawing of teeth. Scott Dissent posted this. He says, following a very constructive phone discussion with the government of Japan, POTUS and Trump has tasked me and U.S. trade rep to open negotiations to implement President Trump's vision. Countries from all over the world are talking to us. Tough but fair parameters are being set. Spoke to Japanese Prime Minister He is sending a top team. They have treated the U.S. very poorly. They don't take our cars, but we take millions of theirs. Likewise, agriculture and many other things that has to change. All right, so what we're seeing in the media is I don't know what they're going to say tonight. I don't care what they're going to say. I'll show some of it to you at 7:30. But it's obvious at this point. It's more than obvious that things aren't as bad as they thought it was going to be. Does this mean the storm has been weathered? I can't say that for sure. I wouldn't want you to run out and put any money into something, but it hasn't happened. It just hasn't denigrated the way they wanted to. So just want you to know that. So in other words, this is a good day. This is a really good day. I mean, things didn't happen as bad as we thought they would. It's a good day. Definitely a good day. Also, did I do this one? I didn't do this one. Yeah, I got to do this one last read. The Trump blanket is ticking liberals off, and it's hilarious. Patriot Addict is back with another exclusive release for you guys. For a limited time only, they're giving away free Trump blankets. I should have one probably the next day or so that I can hold up and show you, but right now you can see over here on this QR code, you can see a woman holding up the blanket, so it's a huge blanket. For no hidden charges, no recurring fees, none of that BS, just cover a small shipping fee and it's yours. The blanket is gorgeous, thick, warm, and decked out with patriotic pride. Just imagine wrapping yourself in it every night. It's more than just a blanket, it's a bold symbol of America's comeback and real leadership. I can't wait to get it. As soon as I have it, I will be showing it to you guys. I will be holding it up. Maybe I'll have Robin wrap herself in it and walk in. Yeah, she could probably do that. Walk in with the blanket wrapped around her. I would absolutely love for her to do that as soon as I get it. So as soon as I get it, I'll show it to you. I've been remiss. I've been trying not to click off because just in case something happens, and nothing's happening. All right, so we'll show a video at 7:30 tonight. He's not coming out this afternoon. Sorry, but thanks for tuning in.
you.